Say one, then
there
hold
we
on.
are.
Hey guys, welcome to the Deep Threats Podcast. This is KJ. I'm over here on the mic talking to you guys today, the day after the foolish day of the year. So just to give you guys a heads up, I pissed my wife off yesterday morning. It was April 1st, and I was up at 5:30 a.m. working, and I called her and told her I got in a car accident. And I woke her up. And her voice went from dead asleep to wide awake as soon as I told her, and then I had to rebut it. I had to rebut it right back. I couldn't do it.
That's a dick move.
Especially because I drive truck for a living, so like that's the last thing I could have done. She was pissed, but she was wide awake on a Saturday morning. The way to start off our April Fools.
I think should have been more okay with you saying, "Hey, I got a DUI," than "Hey, I got in a car accident."
I don't know about DUIs in my livelihood. With accident, at least I can keep my job.
Oh yeah, so you can't keep your job if you...
That's the one I was telling you I really like.
Okay.
I saw that one. So before we get into the show today, as always, you have me here over here on the mic talking at you guys all day, and then you have my lovely.
Hey guys.
Redhead subchannel.
And no,
autistic
I don't even know what to call him anymore.
Ezekiel Elliott did not get signed by the Eagles for $2.5 million. I hope nobody fell for that because I saw that coming a mile away.
Dude, all of the, did you see the one that Joe Thomas is coming back to the NFL as a tight end for the Cleveland Browns?
No, I would have lost my mind, though.
No, it said tight end.
Oh, no, I'm just saying if he were to come back, he would have to be a linebacker.
It's just funny because, like, I'm sitting here like, these are obvious April Fool's tweets.
Well, the Steelers tweeted out, "Hey, we signed Snoop Dogg, but it's his actual name."
No, yeah, it was, yes, yeah. I was like, that
like,
is Snoop. Like, this has got to be April Fool's.
There are so many.
I purposely didn't look at Twitter yesterday.
It was hard to decipher because if anything did happen, you had to find a way to decipher it. It was complicated.
The Lake County captain said that they're going to a Bitcoin-only stadium, and people were freaking out in the comments.
That's funny.
And like Lake County captains were just putting April Fools.
For who don't know, the Lake County Captains is a high AA
High single A.
Or high single A.
Baseball team for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes, for the Indians.
Or the Caucasians, as we call them.
For the Cleveland Caucasians, the CCs.
The Sebastians.
Good morning, by the way.
Yeah, and you have Johnny on the mic, always clicking the buttons. You guys started the conversation. You
Yeah.
guys are the ones that didn't let me go through the intro.
Sorry.
So it's all good.
It's going to be a good show. I'm excited.
We'll see.
but-
It's going to be a fun one. We're going to change it up a little bit today. We're going to, like I said, we're going to go over our defensive ends. We've been trying to do this for about 2 weeks now. We've just had some updates in the offseason and everything that's been going on with Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers, who I'm both getting sick of talking
Yeah, I
about.
was going to say,
to
it's
be honest.
getting really old. There needs to be some decisions made.
And as a Packers fan, I also have been irritated
Yeah, it's
talking about
But
Rodgers.
let me ask you this: do you expect anything less from Rodgers? Like honestly, he loves being the center of attention.
I don't
He's
think
like,
it
talk
has-
about
He
me.
said that he likes being the villain in the NFL, and I agree. But so it's happened ever since Jordan Love. Like the first year, maybe
Yeah.
2 years, I can understand it. Like we're 4 years now.
He's like a
Just
crybaby.
like last year should have been all right. You're either retiring or we're cutting you,
Like I said,
or like just pretty
All
much
right,
forcing
guys,
him. To
I
retire.
disagree, but I think it's just one of those situations where, like, I think Aaron Rodgers does what Aaron Rodgers does, and the media does what they do.
well, like I
They
said,
hype it up.
Like I said,
Because look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson asked for all the media attention. He just wanted a
No.
contract, and everybody's giving him media attention.
And I have a meme I wish that I used for today because I forgot, but
That's
yes,
all right.
it's awesome.
is it
So
him being a running
let's
back?
let's get to today. Start with some energy. You said you got some good memes. Let's get into the meanwhile today.
But I mean, already talking about baseball. It was opening weekend, so
First
the
time.
top one is the Cleveland Block C. Starts with home opener with a loss, and then it's the Browns logo saying first time because the Browns have lost their home opener. What? How many times since '99?
I don't.
pretty
I
much
don't
all of them except
I
one.
think
broke it like
13.
last year. I think.
I was gonna say I think all of them except last year.
It's fucking
And then the
hilarious
other
on
one
the right.
is, Will Levis and Zach Wilson either liking or hating things that begin with MIL. And, obviously, if people haven't heard, Will Levis does not like milk and is deathly afraid of it.
He has nightmares about it. Like
Yes.
you're gonna draft that as your quarterback?
Right.
Get out of here.
And Zach Wilson he's a man that loves football.
If I have to see another picture of Will Levis with his shirt off, this dude is pasty.
Oh,
He looks like
Like,
he
he looks like
Casper.
glue.
like
He
I
looks
am more
like-
tan than him with my shiny,
Yeah.
metal on my microphone.
If you're gonna be seen like this constantly, could you please just go get a tan?
He looks
Please.
like glue.
He does. He looks like glue. He should be the Elmer
Just
spokesperson. That's
put
what he should.
Elmer's
He goes to the
on
NFL.
his
He should just
chest.
be the Elmer spokesperson.
Calm down, Sean Paul.
Oh.
Me?
Yeah, I get it. Sean Paul has a song called "Like Glue."
Nope. I am old and
Yes, this song was from like 2006,
yeah, you know me. I don't know that shit. So
and I'm not talking like a rap song. It's like a Spanish hip hop type of. Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day.
I had
that
no idea.
compared Will Levis to Jay Cutler.
Oh, smoking a cigarette and hating everyone that comes up to him off
somebody
the field.
did say that. Somebody did say that. Here. I don't know if it was Ryan or
I think it was Ryan
It's
or
one of the-
Bo.
Yeah, it's one. It was
no,
one of-
Bo compares Derek Carr to Jay Cutler, and I want to kill him all the time. No, I think it might have been Ryan that
Derek Carr.
said
I'm not
Jay
gonna
Cutler.
make that
He has
conversation.
vibes of Jay Cutler. And you know what I tell people? Like, if that's the case, Jay Cutler almost made it. Like, Jay Cutler
Yeah.
wasn't bad.
No,
Almost made it where he did make it to the NFL.
No,
He
to the
was-
playoffs.
he was
Playoffs?
good in Chicago.
He was really good in Chicago. Like,
I mean, Rodgers was. Look who he had to go with. He played with when Favre played, didn't he?
yeah.
So you had to play Favre, you had to play Rodgers. I mean, Detroit had Matthew Stafford, so they were good.
Detroit. Yeah, I don't know.
And then
yeah, he did.
And then
Yeah,
you
okay.
had Minnesota with their slew of quarterbacks, including I believe Case Keenum was the last guy that Jay Cutler may have played against. I know
In
he did not play against.
Minnesota,
Yeah, he didn't play against Kirk.
Maybe.
I think maybe Case, but other than that, I don't know.
I don't even know if he played against Case. Because
Yeah.
Case was in Houston for a minute.
Oh
So-
yeah, that's right. No, he was he in Houston?
He was drafted in Houston.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So,
No, I'm thinking of Kirk. Yeah, he was drafted by the Redskins. Oh, I'm sorry, the Commanders.
No, Redskins, because it
No,
was
he was
Redskins
drafted by
at
the
the
Redskins.
time.
Yeah, technically he was drafted by the
Yeah.
Redskins.
And you know,
Just like if you talk about
NFL
baseball, CC Sabathia was an Indian. He was never,
Yeah. I
have an
he was never a
autograph.
Guardian.
like NFL, CBS, Yahoo, all of them still recognize it as the Redskins when
Oh,
they
but
played.
it's not racist.
I think
But-
every
no,
every
because
time a
at that
team,
time it was.
I think every time a team changes their name, they have to lose their record and their Super Bowl rings. Bye bye.
I'm okay with that.
You know
I'm
what?
okay with
You
that.
changed your team.
So since
You're new.
since 2000, the Vikings quarterbacks were Dante Culpepper,
Oh, that's who it was.
Todd Bowman, Spurgeon Wynn,
Culpepper.
Gus Ferroti, Brad Johnson.
You see that list there, Johnny? You see that list you're reading?
Yeah.
All those names, they're gonna change a little.
All
But those
those
are
were-
gonna all be Green Bay quarterbacks coming up because you guys are fucked.
Yeah. Well, all those
Jordan
were
Love
all those were
isn't gonna be that bad.
well, no. So Culpepper was from 2000
He's not,
to
I'm
2005, but the rest of them were
Fuck.
just injuries. Tavares Jackson, Kelly Holcomb, Brooks Bollinger, Brett Favre in 2009 and 10, and Donovan McNabb in 2011.
Donovan Mc-
So I can't remember when Cutler
McNabb.
retired, but
McNabb was good. I like McNabb.
but yeah, I think he faced Favre and Culpepper mainly were his.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into one of the meat and potatoes of the day. We're gonna get mainly into the meat, and this is what we've been trying to talk about for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about DNs coming out of college.
Edges.
Yeah, edge rushers. Let's put it that way. We're gonna talk about edge rushers coming out of
Yeah.
college, because that position can be outside linebacker, maybe linebacker, depending on the person. D end,
it's morphed
and
nowadays.
some D tackles. We're not going to talk about the guys that we talked about the other day, which were interior D linemen for the most part, and Jalen Carter. Because Ryan had to get me on that conversation with Jalen Carter could be anything. Yeah, and I could be a freaking unicorn. Who cares?
I mean, you can in the right relationship.
Yeah, this is very true. We do live in 2023. So that being said, let's talk about. I have ranked right now on mine as the number one coming out, and it's going to be Will Anderson.
Okay.
I know you don't like this.
I don't hate it.
I know. It's just you think there's someone that could potentially be better than him coming
Slightly.
into the NFL.
It's a 1A, 1B for me.
Yeah.
It's very close.
So I got Will Anderson at one. Wheels, I know you've watched a good amount of film on Will Anderson. I just think on a top defense, the guy is just NFL ready. It reminds me of Aiden Hutchinson coming out. He can
Yeah.
do just about everything.
He's very well polished coming out.
Yeah. I think the only negatives that I saw on him, which Johnny has them, but
He struggles when O-line gets inside his pads
yeah.
and at the initial point of initial attack.
So that's more of, I feel like he just needs to work a little bit on his hand fighting inside to knock those off. He needs to get strong arm, knock those off, which you can work on in the weight room. You can work on in practice. So that's something that you can teach.
But the crazy thing is that he's in the 93rd percentile with his arm span. So he shouldn't be getting people inside.
No. What happens is, like, let's just say he rushes off the edge, and
Right.
when that outside lineman or that tackle gets
Yeah.
up under his chest pads,
He
he
can't get
struggles
out.
getting separation.
But he shouldn't have that issue with that span alone.
Well,
he should be attacking.
So
that
if
far
he
out.
attacks far out, that's the point.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he won't have that issue.
But that's-
it
so-
doesn't always happen that way.
That's a great analogy there. Or not an analogy. It's a good example. If you bring your arm straight out, that's how he should be tackling with how big his
Right.
arm span is. I mean, you shouldn't allow a guy to get inside you with how long you make yourself.
Right.
So I mean, that's one thing you need to work on. I really like him. I mean, I think he's an edge defender. He's quick. He's a textbook edge or DN when you look at the guy. I mean, there's no better guy other than one guy that I like, which is Tyree Wilson. We'll talk about him.
We'll talk
but
about him next.
I like Will Anderson a lot. It's like I said, it's a 1A, 1B for me. The dude, like he said, he's played in a pro level. He's NFL ready. He's polished. He's a step in day one, and he's going to make an impact. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about that
I
at
agree.
all.
So I don't think you can really, if this is who you need to pick in the top 10, I think he's ready to go for you.
Yeah.
I think also if you keep in mind, depending on where you're going to play Will Anderson, like if you're going to push him towards the outside all the time, like on the right side, I think he'll excel. Sometimes on the left side, I don't think he excels.
Do you think he's a 4-3, 3-4?
Well, no, I think he can play either. I just think the only issue that I see is he can't bend like a Myles Garrett.
Yeah, he doesn't have.
So he's a little stiffer in the hips when it comes to that.
He doesn't have great lower body flexibility.
Yeah.
Which, at times, that's a bad thing, because, like you said, that's where he may get into trouble getting inside, and he can't get out of that block inside.
Right.
But he's got a nasty spin move, and it's just not one spin move. He's got an array of different, second steps to get past the line, create a gap, get to the quarterback, or even the pocket. He plays the ball. He doesn't play the man.
And that's what he excels at.
Which is
the
really
spin
good.
Move. Like, he's got the best spin move.
Yeah, he 100%. He has the best spin move in the class from what I saw. I mean, he got beat by some guys. I mean, from Tennessee, he got beat by Paris Johnson, or not Paris Johnson. I'm sorry. Who was the guy? Bro Derek Jones, I think.
Broderick Jones.
Broderick Jones.
Bro Derek.
Bro Derek.
That's twice you've said that, Bro Derek Jones.
I'm sorry. I think that's how they pronounce or say his name is Bro Derek. But at the end of the day, even the best guy in the league is going to get beat.
Yeah,
I mean, Tom Brady got beat in Super Bowl.
It's about what happens after you get beat.
It's can you recover? Are you in your own head saying, okay, that's just, he shakes it off. The guy shakes it off. He's ready for the next play. It's a new play. It's a new slate. And that's what's going to make you great at the next level, is forgetting what happened last play and just restarting. That's exactly what you want in edge. That's exactly what you want in almost all of these positions, is you're not sitting there worried about what happened last play. You're ready for what's going to happen next. And that's, I mean, he is the stout D-end edge, whatever you want to call him, coming out for me. I mean, he's number 2, but it's not by much. I mean, it's a paper-thin decision for me, honestly.
Right, I agree. So let's jump into that second guy, Johnny. I know you're doing some stuff. Let's jump into Tyree Wilson and see what we got going on there. Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. This is your other guy here, Wheels.
Yeah, he's my number 1, like I said.
Explain to me why you think he's your one over Will Anderson.
So he's got a huge arm span. He's very fast off the line, gets inside his man, and doesn't...
I didn't realize his arm span was that long.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, other guys on the list are like 90%.
Yeah, he's
I think
a great...
the lowest is like 92.
Yeah, he's a great tackler.
And that's what makes them edge guys.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, the long arm span, because if you can get out and reach, and you know how to use the arm length to your advantage, you will be better in that situation.
Well, that's the difference between that's the difference between D-end or edge and defense interiors. Usually the guys with the defense interior, they're like guards on the offensive side. They have a little bit shorter arm span, but like left tackles. Left tackles are like edges. I mean, the longer the arm span, the more success you're going to have on the outside. There's a reason why there's measurements for all these positions. It's just not to have it out there. I mean, height.
Yeah, measurements do matter. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
There is some reasoning for those measurements.
Exactly. But going back to Tyree Wilson, he's another guy that is an edge defender in my opinion. He can pursue outside. He can go in coverage every now and again if he needs to be, but he's another guy that plays off the ball. He doesn't play the man. He doesn't get himself into situations that are going to hurt his team or allow them to get a bad first down that's going to extend the drive. Just like Will Anderson. The guy, he's a smart, NFL-ready, day one polished edge coming out. I mean, there's another guy who's going in the top 10, in my opinion.
Right.
I think 3 of these guys we may talk about may go in the top 10. What say you?
3. Since the issues with Anthony Richardson's and Will Levis's pro days didn't go very well, I think it's very easy for more defense to go higher now.
This is probably one of the biggest defensive drafts we have had in the last 5 years, you would have to say. A lot of it's been offensive. Last couple has been wide receiver, offensive line. Quarterback was a few years ago when Justin Herbert, Josh Allen was taken. I mean, Josh Allen's class he's really the only guy other than Lamar Jackson that has produced. But other than that, I mean,
so how do you feel with Tyree Wilson's pad levels? Because I saw that was one of his negatives that I wrote down.
Where he sets up.
Yeah, he struggles getting low, like staying low all the time.
He's more like he's a stiffer guy, like kind of like Will Anderson. He gets up high and he kind of stands straight up. That's something you can teach. You can, I think, teach that out. But even with him doing that, he was still a top producer on his team.
And how about he struggles to seal the outside on the run?
I think that's just because of speed. He's got a 4.87, so he's not the fastest edge.
He just doesn't get out there.
but he doesn't get out there. But he's fast off the line. I think if he gets some help on the other side of the edge, he could definitely be a top.
I think all of his intangibles, or not his intangibles,
there's always
I think all of his
cons.
negatives, I think his negatives personally are coachable.
Yeah.
I think
there's nothing
pursuit and angles, because he uses his physicality, and that's what you kind of want as an edge. But the pursuit that he needs to figure out and his angles, I think those are two things that he needs to work on.
He kind of... So, now a lot of people are not going to like this take, but if you watched Myles Garrett coming out, he was kind of a guy who... He was really aggressive. He had a lot of offsides calls and all that. I mean, that Tyree Wilson is kind of that. I'm not comparing him at all to Myles Garrett, but he's kind of the same type of prospect, in my opinion. He's another guy who's really just aggressive, and the penalties can stack up at times. But do you want a guy who's aggressive, or you want a guy who's not aggressive, who's just, there?
Right.
Like, I mean, a Jadeveon Clowney, who plays more Jadeveon Clowney, who plays more of a run stopper rather than a pass rusher.
That's my daughter.
I was just gonna say.
It's not a pterodactyl, I swear.
No, it sounded like a door creaking open.
What did you like about Tyree?
Motor.
So,
He just plays to the whistle, and he's so physical.
Yeah,
He's a
so
very physical guy,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the best aspect of an edge. If a guy is if a guy is unwilling to continue to push forward, I don't want him as an edge. I want him as like a D tackle, someone that's going to contain. But if this guy is going to pursue, I mean, I love it. I think these guys can both be top 10 picks very easily.
Yeah.
Especially who's picking in the top 10. There's a lot of defensive needs in the top 10.
Yeah.
When you look at the Raiders and then you look at the Arizona Cardinals, I think both these teams need really good D guys.
Yeah. I think you'd see Tyree going to the Cardinals. That's who I had them picking. They're
Right.
not, I mean...
Well, I mean, it also depends on, like, if you got like, if these guys trading back, like, a lot of this does kind of matter a little bit. But let's go into that third one. I know you and I pretty much, like you said, the Tyree Wilson. This is one of those drafts where everybody hypes up one guy, and then closer to the draft, the other guy starts to step up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Tyree is now getting to that point where, like you said, it's almost
like
1A, 1B.
Yeah, it's paper thin,
It's
in my
people
opinion.
are like, I don't know, do I want the physical? This is the Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson argument last year.
Exactly.
Do I want the
exactly
physical, polished athlete, or do I want the guy that's going to produce? And that's why I'll take Will Anderson, because
fresh.
Will Anderson is so polished, whereas I think Tyree needs a little bit of coaching, and he's going to be that over-pursuit guy. He's going to make some mistakes.
Which I completely agree with. It's there. If you watch the film, it is there. He over-pursues. He doesn't seal up the edge like you said. So I just have him one because that's who I view. That's who I would take.
Well, and I think now it's funny that you say that, because if I were to go look this year in 2023 at Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau, I think Kayvon Thibodeau has the leap, and he can be better now than Aiden Hutchinson, because I think Aiden Hutchinson's kind of already at his ceiling. Yeah. The only thing you can do is just free up Aiden Hutchinson and give him more one-on-ones, and that gives him the pursuit to the quarterback. Whereas Kayvon has so much more growth because he was purely athletic, coming out and raw. Yeah, so I just, that's kind of what I see, and I think that's what you're seeing, is that in the second year, that maybe Tyree is going to be a better prospect.
Yeah, the second year is definitely the viewing year for a lot of these guys. I mean, I know they always say sophomore slump, but that's here nor there.
But if you want an impact day one guy, that's why I think the Will Anderson.
But I
is
agree.
a little higher.
Will Anderson, he is an impact day one. He's not as gambly. He doesn't do as he's not as.
Let's go to our boys. One of his favorite guys. It's not his top five. It's not his top two, but Lucas Van Ness. This is one of Steve's favorite guys. He loves this kid coming out of Iowa. Because I know you watched a little bit of film on him. What do you think of Lucas here?
So my biggest thing about Luke Van Ness is his instincts take over coming over the edge. He constantly makes an impact, whether it's in the pass or run. He's able to get inside and stop the run, close the gap quickly, get to the quarterback. Another guy who plays the ball, a very high football IQ, drives through his man constantly. He's got a high motor. He doesn't quit. He's another guy who's, I think he's polished, and I believe he was a top tackler, or the top sack leader for his team the last 2 years.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I believe he's a top tackler too. This is a guy that has a really good lower body flexibility that the other two guys we talked about did not. So he's able, to free up himself on a block if he gets hit inside. And he's another guy with a nasty spin move. It's just not one spin move. It's an array of different spin moves. I mean, he's three. He's up there with all those guys, in my opinion.
Johnny, if you scroll down, there's an asterisk on the 2021-2022 season. It probably explains the asterisk.
And he's a guy who chips off a block easily, and he likes contact. He's another guy who loves contact.
He's one of those guys, and I don't know how to explain this, but when he chips, then he turns.
Yeah,
he chips underneath, and then he can turn, and he's one of those guys that can get around that edge very well.
The asterisk indicates bowl status. So these stats the past 2 years also include bowl games.
Okay. So and that's what I see out of Lucas Van Ness is that he's a guy that can peel that edge.
Yeah, he
really
plays better
hard.
off that chip. It's definitely something that.
And so when you look at a guy, and I think that's something that the best in the NFL right now is Myles Garrett at that.
Yeah.
And I think every guy that comes out of college is trying to merge and make their game look like Myles Garrett when they're trying to peel that edge. So a lot of these guys are trying to get underneath those linemen, so when they chip up in, they're going underneath to get wide.
Because the old edge, the old D ends where you get through the man.
You
push through him. You get him on his back heels and you push through him, which we're going to talk about later in this draft, or later in these top guys possibly. Some of these guys do not play like that. They don't get underneath. They more push their guy.
They're bull rushers. They're more. I got to go through the guy, and it sucks because in the NFL it's a lot harder than it is in college.
Yeah.
Because you're going against 330-pound linemen.
Yeah.
You're not going against 285-pound guys that are only 30, 40 more pounds than you. So and you're stronger than them. Yeah. So it's a lot harder in the NFL to succeed at a bull rush unless you are a top tier talent.
Yeah.
So, like, Aaron Donald is very good for what he does. That's the reason why Aaron Donald is so good. And I think Aaron Donald's build, Johnny, I don't know if you can look this up. I think Aaron Donald's build is like 6'3", 265, 270. Like, he is ridiculous size. So when you look at his ability, that's why he succeeds at the bull rush.
And he's an interior too. I mean, and he can play.
He plays all over the line. All over the line.
Which some of these guys at this edge position can do. I feel like a lot of these positions coming in, outside linebacker, D back, a lot of these guys are becoming.
Well, I think a lot of these guys coming out of the. Go ahead, John.
He's 6'1", 280.
Yeah, 6'1", 280. That is a bowling ball of a man.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I didn't know he was that. I mean, that's not short, but he's
strong.
shorter.
He is strong.
280s.
Yeah.
Whatever. That is
yeah.
And there's nobody in this draft coming out that's looking like that.
No, not at all.
Not 6'1", 285 coming into the league with a 32 5/8 inch arm span and 9 7/8 hands.
Small hands mean strong hands a lot of times. So if you have under 10-inch hands and you are a D lineman, a lot of times that's strength in the pads.
It's grip strength.
Yep.
Right.
So, all right, let's go to the next guy. And I know I have it here. My daughter is so happy upstairs. That's a happy scream. Let's go into Carl Brooks.
So Carl Brooks is a guy not a lot of you may have heard about. He's out of Bowling Green.
I have Myles Murphy above Carl Brooks. You have Carl Brooks, I think,
It's another...
At 4.
Yeah, it's close. I mean, I watched a lot of film on this guy coming out of Bowling Green.
Yeah, he was literally like, I think if you looked at Draft Buzz, he was like, what, 18th?
Yeah, he's lower on that, which I don't understand. I don't understand that, which, I mean, I think they like being safe.
And that's fine.
We're not about on the show. We like going out about guys
I kind of have, so I have Carl Brooks at 5. For some reason, I do have him up on my list. But you've got him at 4.
Yeah.
I personally, I could...
The dude's
huge. So here's the thing. These next 5 guys, I could probably swap them in and out.
Yeah.
Carl Brooks, Myles Murphy, Isaiah Foskey, Zach Harrison, B.J. Ojolari. I can bounce these guys around.
Yeah, going back...
It depends on what you need for the position, whether it's a 4-3, a 3-4, and if you do have depth in that position, so who's behind them and who's in front of them. Yeah. So go ahead. Why don't you talk about Carl Brooks, because you're the one that's hyped up on this guy.
Part of the reason I have Carl Brooks as high as I do is he's kind of a guy who can play anywhere on that D-line. He can play on the edge. He can play on the defense interior. At 300 pounds,
Holy sh...
He runs pretty well in coverage at times at 300 pounds. It's surprising. The dude is a monster. And it's just not the weight and the height. It's just not as measurable as I like about him. The dude he's nasty. He gets through his man. He's more of a bull rushing guy.
He's probably going to be more of an interior on a 4-3.
Yeah. So that's what I have on him. Is he's more of an interior guy at 4-3, but 3-4 you're going to play more edge.
Right, and it's going to be more of a contain, like you're not going to get the quarterback. So, but he probably will, depending on the double teams, because he's capable of taking on double teams.
He's another guy who's he's solid off a chip block. He gets inside. He has very good ball rush tenacity there.
Ball rush
tenacity.
Ball rush.
I mean, all these guys, I know you're going to get sick of me saying it, but another guy who doesn't take many chances. He plays the ball, not the man. Doesn't over pursue. He doesn't put himself in situations where it's going to hurt his team overall, giving them a bad first down, letting drives go down. He gets inside. He's able to hit a gap with the speed. At 300 pounds, the guy's pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I mean he's a force to reckon with.
Yeah, he is definitely a force to reckon with, and I like him. I mean, he's up there for me. I would love for you guys to watch him.
Well, the funny part about that is so where you have him ranked, he's probably a second-round guy. He's not a first-round guy.
Yeah. He's late first, early second for me. It just depends who wants him.
He's not going to go in the first.
No.
Just because where everybody else sees him, he's not going to go in the first. But what you're saying is he's got the ability to put up first-round stats.
Yeah, so someone's going to get
ranking-wise.
Yeah.
So someone's going to get a steal is what Wheels is saying.
He hasn't hit his ceiling yet, and I don't know what his ceiling is, but
How old was he?
How old?
Johnny's got it on the graphic. 22?
Yeah.
But he's produced every year. Every single year, he's done better and better and better. I mean, he's just taken that team. And, Bowling Green, coming out of a MAC, I think that's a MAC school.
Yeah, I think it's Mid-Atlantic.
I mean, that may hurt is why people are putting him kind of low is you're not playing great top competition, but you also don't have a great defense behind you. You're kind of that guy on your team that's, producing, and he has.
Mac, yeah.
So the issue right there, that's his issue.
Where he missed a year.
5 seasons.
Yeah.
That's an issue. So he's a senior.
I
think a lot of these guys that we have on this list are 3-year or 4-year players.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff to watch in that Senior Bowl, but there wasn't a lot of production that we watched because we watched that Senior Bowl. But yeah, it's a very heavily senior draft this year.
Let's get on to the next guy. This guy, I know that
I like him
Steve
a lot,
is so hyped on him. It's Miles Murphy, and Miles Murphy is probably a first-round guy. This is one of your guys that you think is going to get taken in the top 10.
Yeah.
Right. So it's funny because we have Van Ness and Carl Brooks a little higher than Miles Murphy, but Miles Murphy, I just think his build, his structure, what they want in a guy, this is it.
So you think he's a prototypical another guy ready?
I think he's an edge. He's a prototypical edge build. He could put on a little weight, honestly, but I think for where he's at, he's super fast,
good structure,
flexible. My only cons on him is that sometimes his pad levels are an issue, and he's tight in the hips. Yeah. So, shiftiness on an edge, and I don't know if I'm too upset. And I will tell you, if you watch a lot of these guys, some guys can only bend one way because they've been doing it for so long. That's why they're only good on one side.
It's like riding a bike. It's just one way.
There's a reason Myles Garrett doesn't normally play on the opposite side of the line because he's so extremely good and flexible on the right side of the line at attacking. That's where they lead.
Yeah, that's where he gets inside. And it's a strong suit. You're going to play your player to the strong suit. Miles Murphy is another guy who's a nasty first step. Great off the ball speed. He's an athletic freak of a guy. All these guys coming on. He's just a freak. He's got all the measurables. He's got the speed. He's got the weight. Like you said, he could put on some weight, but is it needed? No. He's another guy who's going to produce day one. So
I think 6'4", if he were 275, 280, I think even if he ran a 4.65, that would be outstanding.
Yeah, most of these guys are going to put on some muscle.
Right now he runs a 4.57, so that's pretty damn good for 268 pounds of 4.57. Miles Murphy. So fit wise, either 3.4 or 4.3, he just that good, can play anywhere.
I think so. Yeah. There's a guy we're going to talk about here soon that
can he play in coverage? So could he contain and drop off the line and play it in the flat?
So from what I saw at points, he can, but the farther you put him out, obviously with any other guy, the bigger the risk is. Over the middle he can play. He can take maybe a running back, follow him a little bit, take a tight end, go over the middle. until he gets up over to the safety or maybe gets another.
I'm just
zone
assuming with
coverage.
his speed, you could probably put him on a tight end on the edge.
You can, 100%. You can put him as a tight end on the edge, or you can, spy running back. He's another guy that you're going to use kind of as a quarterback spy. Get inside. So I mean, there may be a team.
A spy this size. That's a big ass spy.
But I'm serious. There may be a team that we need a guy that can play multiple. Can play in coverage, can get inside, can spy a quarterback with how quick he is. This may be the guy. He may be taken. He may be the second edge taken. Who knows? I mean, it's all fitment. We don't know.
He's not going to be the second edge taken.
No,
because like we just said,
wise.
Will Anderson and Tyree Wilson are 1A, 1B. Yeah. Can he get taken in the first round? I believe so. I mean, outside of Jalen Carter, I think it's Miles Murphy, right?
Which the latest rumor is that there's many teams taking Jalen Carter off their board
because of what happened with the
don't believe that.
And this was before the April Fool.
Don't believe that smoke.
So it's all smoke and mirrors because if you remember a couple years ago with the Niners, they loved Mac Jones. That's all they talked about, and then they go and take Trey Lance and they get 3 first-round picks. So
don't believe that smoke.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Don't believe that smoke.
Just like with a Mitch Trubisky, they didn't talk to Mitch Trubisky publicly stated at all before Chicago drafted him. They drafted him first overall. So I mean, second overall. I think it was.
Whatever it was second because
one of the largest. We took Miles that year.
Right.
It was second. So I mean, don't believe everything you read in the media with sports like this because it's all just to create
smoke screens.
Yeah, it's a smoke screen.
It's just so you think one thing and they're going to do another.
Yeah, like
they're hoping to God.
CJ Stroud is going to the Panthers. There is no way they're not taking CJ Stroud.
The teams that are the best at this are the teams that shut the hell up. So like you don't know what the Steelers ever going to do.
The Patriots,
because the Steelers don't open their mouth. The
like
Patriots,
exactly.
Even the Ravens don't usually open their mouth. Like we didn't know the Ravens were going to trade Marquise Brown last year.
The Saints are very good about that too.
So just these teams that, and it's because you know why a lot of these teams don't have needs. They have holes to fill. But they don't have needs.
But you notice the thing about that is those teams that aren't out there talking are usually consistently good year after year after year. Versus teams that like the Browns, there's a lot of talking, and that's just an example. They're not good year after year after year.
And it's funny because I predicted exactly who the Browns were going after last year. Or 2 years ago. I knew they were going JOK.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like I was ecstatic they did it.
I was hoping we would take Mika, but there was no way we were trading up back that far. Or Micah Hyde, Micah, whatever.
What is with you guys and Micah Hyde?
I like him a lot.
Micah Parsons.
Not Micah Hyde. Yeah, Micah Parsons, not Micah. I'm thinking of.
I would have loved to get Micah, but he was like 9th overall. 9th or 11th.
Just gonna say.
Yeah, like I said, there was no
we
way.
weren't up there. That was the year we went to the playoffs. That was the year we went to the playoffs.
I think they were like 16.
That was the year we went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it was taken 16.
Playoffs.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. This one is.
I know you like him. I think.
Well, Steve has been like up this dude's butthole since before talking football like this year. Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. I mean, he has been all about Isaiah Foskey. I don't even know if I spelled his name
right. This is a guy who I view as a bull rusher. He's more of a bowling ball type of guy. He's a bull rusher. He gets off the line with speed. He has a great core of strength, upper and lower body flexibility, upper and lower body. I mean, the biggest thing with him is he over pursues at times that I see, and he gets a little too risky at times. So that's why I have him 6th. He has good football IQ. He could definitely increase it.
Well, the thing with him that I found as a huge positive, and this is one of the things just being a Browns fan, when I see a player that I like the most is when I see a player who's in every play.
Yeah,
when you see this guy on the field, it seems to be he's around every play being made.
Yeah,
which is all over the field, which is also bad too because sometimes you play out of position. So know your role, shut your hole is a kind of deal that some of these players need to do. But he is one of those guys that just is an impact player. He's all over the field.
Yeah, and he's
on a great defense like Notre Dame. So
no, and that's where I come from. Where he's a little bit risky is he over pursues. He gets himself into some situations like KJ said, where he puts himself out of position, which then again can hurt his team. Or I mean, he's good in coverage. It's not the greatest. What was his 40 speed again, Johnny?
So, and real quick.
4.58. That's
Micah
official.
Micah went 12th overall.
Okay.
And JOK went 52nd.
I said 11th. Well, JOK was a second rounder.
Well, right, but I'm just saying
But
the
I'm saying
value.
the Browns were so predictable at what they did.
Because you were
We
drafting,
knew their second round
Because you were
pick.
drafting a guy to stop Lamar.
Well,
Yeah.
so here's my thing with that though is they were like it was JOK and Micah were 1A 1B.
Yeah.
And there's 40 different picks.
Whoa, who said that?
There's been a lot of comparison when they were
JOK
when
was
they were
supposed-
coming out that it was really similar.
JOK was
as
supposed
the
to be a
top-
first-round pick.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
I didn't mean to
Oh,
walk
no, you're
off of it.
fine.
But he had that heart. They said he had that heart issue, which
Yeah.
he said wasn't true. And the Browns deeply went into physicals and talked to multiple doctors to make sure and ensured up that it wasn't an issue before they drafted him. He was supposed to be a first-round pick, but he dropped out because of that, which helped. Sadly, hurt him, but helped the Browns. But it seems that he's a good.
thing.
Yeah, he's fitting well. I think
It just
he's-
sucked with his injury.
You ain't
last year.
shitting.
Yeah.
I did not know he was 1A 1B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Again,
I just looked at NFL Draft Buzz and it's
Mm-hmm.
Micah Parsons, JOK, Zaven Collins, Nick Bolton, and Joseph Asai.
Yeah, 40 picks difference.
And Azeez Ojulari, who is, by the way, BJ Ojulari's.
Is it his brother?
I don't know if
did
it's
not
brother
that.
or his cousin. Hold on.
A lot of these
Younger
guys,
brother.
I
So
think, yeah,
BJ
it's
is
brother.
the younger brother of Azeez.
They both played at LSU, right?
I think so.
Yes, Ojulari is LSU. I can't remember on his brother though.
I can tell you right now, I'm on Azeez right here. I'm pretty sure it was LSU though. Georgia.
Oh,
Okay.
I lied.
So another
So-
guy. So we're going back to Foskey real quick. His change of direction is really good. He's got good hands, able to fight off a block and spin out. I had him going first, but I think he's going to be an early second for me.
Who?
Foskey.
Foskey. He's a late first, early second for me. It's another fitment issue.
Sorry, that's
I know you don't like that. I know you like him.
no. It's a JOK thing. I think
Yeah.
I think you get so much value in the second if
Yeah.
you're getting him in the second. I think he's at first round capable, and I think when you get guys that have the drive that Foskey had on the field, like
Yeah.
it just
The guy he's an animal.
high motors, which I think everybody in the top 10 have.
Yeah,
in
you
this.
have to.
It's
I
high
mean-
motor defensive ends. I think anybody who can play to the whistle is a first round pick at this position because your motor matters.
Yeah, are you gonna get tired after three?
The
or
only
four
difference
plays?
between
Like,
one
no.
person and the other is pursuit and sealing the edge.
Yeah,
And I think that's
and
what.
maybe some coverage, but that's tricky.
And to be honest, unless you're playing in the outside linebacker position, I don't need you for coverage.
there is a guy that we're gonna talk about, I believe, here soon.
I don't
as
think
an
you
outside
have.
linebacker.
I don't think you have anybody as an outside linebacker.
I view Nolan Smith
in your
as more
top
of an
10.
I view Nolan Smith more of an outside.
Oh,
linebacker.
do you? Okay, so let's go to the next guy. Let's go to Zach Harrison. I was talking to you guys about him because I think you guys had him underrated. I talked to
Yeah, till I saw him, I really didn't.
because I told you to go out and look.
Yeah,
I go, hey guys, go look at Zach Harrison coming out of Ohio State. I know that there's not a lot of big Ohio State edges that have been out recently that have come. I was actually talking to Ryan about this. If you look at like the last 10-year drafts, I think there's 2 DNs that have come out of Ohio State between rounds 3 and 5.
in 3 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's just between those rounds. And I told him, well, what about the Bosa's? And what about, like, he's like, talking not a first round pick, man.
Yeah,
I
like
was
Chase
like,
Young, I mean,
Well, yeah, I was like Chase Young, Bosa. I was like, he's like, those are top 10 picks. Like, he goes, but, and
I
then
believe,
depth wise, he goes, how many have come out? And I can't remember who they were, but there were 2. And he's like, all right, okay, so they do have some. And I'm like, Zach Harrison, I think, is a guy that there's production.
oh yeah,
He is very capable on the field of what he's been doing.
He's a second round pick in my opinion. I mean, the dude's an athletic freak with his size
mid
and
to late
speed.
second.
Yeah,
And I think
that's what I have late second. I
Yep.
usually put my lower first. I like where I see him bottom the barrel going is late second.
yeah, somewhere around that 58 to 65 mark, I can see.
And he can play inside, outside, depends on the scheme. If you're going to run a 4-3, 3-4, he's fits anywhere on that edge, anywhere on that line. He can play outside linebacker if need be, but he shines specifically in that edge position. So you're drafting him to play him as a D end.
Right.
You're not drafting him as an outside linebacker.
Or an interior
Yeah,
lineman.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is a.
He can play edge in the 3-4. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's not where I would have him. I would have him in a 4-3 as the edge.
Yeah, and he's another guy that can
well-
stop the run.
Right.
He's got some Clowney trickled in with him, physicality wise.
And you know what's funny is I think one of the reasons that we're so ecstatic when an edge can stop the run is because we just don't, as Browns fans, we don't know what it feels like. 'Cause in the last 10 years, I think we've probably been bottom 10 in run defense.
Which is just insane with who we've drafted.
It's
but the thing is
disgusting.
we've always drafted secondary very high, and I don't understand it because you can get some secondary pick like we saw last year with Martin Emerson. You can get these guys later. You know, they may not shine day one, but you can polish them up in the offseason. That's what it's all about. That's what the draft's about. Take some value picks, take some risks later in the draft. You know, take who you need. Which, I mean, we always don't need corner, yet we always seem to, draft it because we take these smaller corners like Denzel Ward. I would love to get a guy like Zach Harrison in the second round, but obviously we don't have the second round pick now. But there's some guys that we're talking about that we could probably get in the third. But there's value all throughout this draft defensive-wise. I mean, from DN to outside linebacker to defensive tackle to safety to D-back. I mean, there's value all over the place, even in quarterback with Hendon Hooker. Depends where you draft them.
I agree. I agree with
this
that.
is a very the drafts year after year are becoming more, they're filling up more with just good value picks. The third round pick now is that's a top pick in my. I mean, third round pick's a good pick.
The third round pick is the shoot for the stars pick.
Yeah, it's a fringe. It's a fringe.
That's the guy where like your first round and your second round are guys like if they don't start, they're considered busts.
Yeah,
like those are guys that you need to impact day one. If not, they're busts. Now you have the second round or the third round pick. And that is where, and Ryan loves to talk about it this way, because that is where, like, you kind of shoot for the stars and see what the hell happens. Yep. And a lot of these, like, if you don't hit here, you won't hear about it.
No, it's not going to hurt you.
If you hit here,
you'll hear about
you're going to hear about it.
Well, I mean, look at what Detroit did with James Houston. They took him in the 6th round. And nobody's talking about him on being one of the greatest picks. The dude was an 80.1 PFF overall this year.
You finally found his name.
Yeah, I finally found his name. I did a lot of research on
That's
this guy.
the other DN
I'm not
opposite
Justin,
of Aiden Hutchinson.
Not Justin Houston, James Houston. But no, yeah,
I just thought it's funny because you're like, that other guy in Detroit. You told me they drafted a guy in like the 6th, 7th round. I was like, yeah.
And nobody's talking about him. I'm watching videos on YouTube. I'm reading articles, and nobody's talking about
the value. He was a stud for that.
But yeah, nobody's talking about the value pick. This 6th round pick, the guy's produced day one. I mean, if he was
he's actually had better production than Kayvon Thibodeau, who was drafted in the first round.
But the problem is that comes back to now what you want to hear. I know you don't like when
he was third overall. I think
it's name.
But I think he was dealing with injuries and lingering issues all year compared to
right. But my point is, a guy drafted in the 6th round who you don't have to pay right now, which means you're going to get production for at least 3 years out of him for very, very cheap.
Well, is it 3 years or
3?
3.
So 3 total. So you have 2
more
years.
It's 3 plus you can.
Oh, really?
Plus you can offer a 4th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 2 more years, and then you can offer the third.
Yeah, the first round is the only round that you can offer.
You get the 5th year option,
right.
which is the reason why there is a possibility that someone might trade back into the first to get Hendon Hooker.
That's why I have
because
a team
if Hendon Hooker is valued at that
because
point,
it's offsetting the first year.
Yeah, you're not
right. You're not losing him the first year, and you get that extra year on him. So if he is a stud, he's there.
So then, who would you think would take him in the late first?
We can go over that later. There's like 6 teams that I can see reaching back up, and one of them is currently trying to trade a quarterback.
Okay, I'm
happy
I'm not
Baltimore
the
or
only
Green
one
Bay?
We'll talk about it.
Stay
tuned.
There's a few.
Yeah. Stay tuned. We're gonna leave it a cliffhanger.
There's a few. So let's go to the next one. BJ Ojulari. This is our 8. I love BJ, and I think.
I do.
You?
Yeah, I think when you, I think when you look at, there's something about bloodlines, man. When a family is made to play football. I mean,
the Watts.
Yeah.
Bosa's.
I wouldn't. I just take him. Just take him. Like he's good enough. He's produced in LSU. I think he's one of those guys that. He's got the speed off the edge.
He fits he fits the measurables. He fits everything that you want in a guy. He's another guy. I mean, all these guys that we're
and he's also good from chasing down from behind.
Yes.
So like his pursuit.
Great pursuit.
Yeah,
Great
his pursuit is very good. So that's another reason why I like Ojulari. Is there anything that stood out to you outside of the pursuit? Because obviously I took that from you.
He's a textbook edge rusher. At times he can get stagnant with his feet and stop moving them. He stands straight up at times, which.
We have that issue. I think that's a con for a bunch of these guys, and I think that's coachable.
He's another guy that puts his head down. which I really don't like.
I don't like that from a DN.
But that's another thing you can teach out. A lot of these, if it's not mentally, I'm fine with it. I'll put him at my 8. There's a reason because, like you said, he's got all the tenacity. He's got the
speed, intangibles. He got the things that aren't on the field, but some of the things that are on the field that we need to be coached out of.
He's smart, the dude.
And I don't know. Has there been a lot of DNs that have come out of LSU? Because it could be a coaching thing.
I honestly don't know.
I don't think
LSU,
so.
I don't think they're more known for secondary wide receiver.
That's what I thought.
So they had JJ, you had Jarvis, you had Odell Beckham.
I guess quarterback, we can say that.
They had Joe Burrow. That's about
one quarterback.
Who else? But secondary, you have had some guys come out.
Technically graduated from Ohio State.
The Browns love taking secondary from LSU because they're made of glass.
Let's go an Ojulari to me value. He's going to be a late second round guy.
Yep, that's where I have him.
He's going to be such value, especially with a good coaching staff.
He's another guy who doesn't play well in coverage. He is like you said, a prototypical textbook D end. He can stop the run, good against the counter. That's what I like about him. He
bounces off the block very well.
He bounces off the block well. He's good about watching, RPOs. Let's see if it's a runner. Pass. He's smart about watching that. Another guy who watches the ball. All these top 10 guys do that very well. There's not a guy I'm going to put in here who's, mainly, okay, I'm just going after the quarterback, and then the running back already has it. He's done for 6 yards by the time he gets there.
So another guy that we can talk about is Nolan Smith. This is the one you were talking about that you see as an outside linebacker.
Just the way he plays, he in my opinion, is an outside linebacker. He's got great change of direction. He can play man-to-man or zone. He's a guy who's good in coverage, able to get off the edge quickly and seal it while spinning out of a block. Has great interior tackling. Another guy who pushes through his man, has good flexibility, lower body. But I just view him the way he played at Georgia, and I know Steve agreed with me on this. I just view him more of an outside linebacker. I think in a 4-3 you're gonna play, or a 3-4 you're gonna play him as outside.
And I think some of your argument is that he's too reliant on his bull rush.
Yes.
Like he's too much a right at you kind of guy. He focuses on that.
Slip out.
Right. See, and the other issue here. Go ahead.
But of the ones that we've talked about, he is the lightest and the fastest. So
But that's
with I think the smallest
he's
hands.
too reliant on his bull rush.
Yeah.
He relies on running right at the guy and blowing him up. But the problem is going into the NFL.
Right. Well,
A lot of people aren't going to bounce off you.
And
Right.
speed is just as fast. There's gonna be guys just as fast.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying he also has the smallest hands, or one of the smallest hands that we are going to talk about.
Yeah, and that's why I view him more of an outside guy.
But still, I think in the shortest hands or arm span that we are talking.
He would be your guy. Then I think this is your argument. He's a JOK.
Yes.
He's a guy that you're going to take to play off the line and cover the outsides.
So a spy and
or even to maybe
coverage.
put that quick outside blitz.
If only he didn't get all the hype that he did after his combine and or pro day, that if the Browns still had the second round pick, whew,
Oh, I would lose it.
JOK and Nolan Smith.
Him or Trenton Simpson. I like both those guys.
See, here's my thing. I think you guys just the underrated value of signing Walker in Cleveland.
I like Walker.
Well, Walker
It's just
I like
underrated.
Walker.
My thing is
Walker.
I'd rather go get a guy next year, and I want to shore up the secondary or shore up the D tackle area.
But is Walker
Cleveland.
We're
middle?
taking secondary in the third.
Yeah, is Walker middle or outside linebacker?
Middle.
So he's the
then is JOK outside or middle as well?
well,
outside.
JOK's
outside because he can play a spy
So
too. It just depends where you put
JOK
him.
opposite.
We already
Miles
have
Garrett.
another linebacker too, and I can't remember his name right
But I'm
now.
just saying JOK.
And then you signed
Taki.
Taki. Yeah.
So I'm just saying
Oh, we
JOK.
signed.
No, we didn't sign to Zendejo.
No.
No,
That was an April Fool's joke too.
No, we didn't.
But I'm just saying JOK opposite of Garrett. You have Walker in the middle, and then you would have Nolan Smith on the same side as Miles, or flip flop JOK and Miles, or
Tomlinson's in there.
that
now.
would be cool.
You guys got to keep him, and then you got Akaranquo. I think
That's
the signings,
Nakara.
the signings they made in Cleveland, I think they're very underrated for some people.
Because we're Cleveland.
So
Right.
the other thing is the other thing that I have an issue with Nolan Smith is he's missed time. He's missed a bunch of games, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I think he's missed 8 games over
In 2 years.
Eight
Yeah.
games in 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's missed. That's another thing I didn't talk about is that you got to be there. We've talked about that with somebody else. last week. You got to be there to perform. You got to be there to impact. I mean, that's maybe why he may have slipped out of the first round is his injury.
Yeah, he missed at least.
Okay, so
That's
3,
4
six,
games.
no,
and-
6 games because it's 14.
6 games, and then 2 games, and then 7 games, and
Yeah,
so
he's
from
missed a bunch of games since he's been
we
there.
don't
In
even
29
count freshmen.
2019, he had 11 games played.
But look
Yeah,
at his
yeah.
sacks. He's not up there in sacks.
Right. 2020, he had 7 games played.
Well, he's a coverage. We just talked. He's a coverage
Yeah,
guy.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's why if you hit more as an
Yeah.
outside linebacker guy, just you read the stats alone and watch the
Actually,
watch
it's funny.
the film. That's where they play him.
It's funny. I actually wrote that he is more adept to an outside linebacker role. That's funny that I wrote that. Me and you both have the same thing. So let's just go over. That was our 9, I think.
You want to do some honorable mentions or not?
Well, no. We'll do the last one for you, and it's funny. I don't know. I might have to move yours down because I think you have Brenton Cox at 10.
Let's talk about that when
Let's talk-
Steve's here because Steve really likes him. And
Let's talk Will McDonald because
Yes.
Will McDonald is a guy that everybody has, I think, in their top 5, and we got him right there. I think right around 10. And then another guy an honorable mention, which Nolan Smith was, like we said, an outside linebacker. Drew Sanders is probably the outside linebacker in this draft.
Yes.
And we got him a little slightly lower.
That's
than
another guy that
Nolan
Steve was
Smith.
super high on.
So let's talk about Will McDonald and get into him. What did you like about Will McDonald, and what were like the things that kind of stood out to you?
So his top tier hand placement, able to get off a block, chip off. He is essentially opposite of what we saw with Tyree Wilson with his hands. He has a very strong upper body, which gives him great hand fighting, and a strong lower body with flexibility that is able to get him out of blocks with a spin move. Can play both DN and outside linebacker at times, has speed to hit the gaps, and plays a bit of coverage here and there with tight ends.
It's funny. I when you look at my summary for Will McDonald, I actually kind of put that in the same way. I said he's a violent technician with his hands. But his negatives is that he has an issue of over pursuing. And then this one really bothers me is that he forgets his assignments.
So he plays out of position, is what you're
So
saying.
Cam Newton mentality.
No. Like when I say forgets assignments, is like
Russell
If
Wilson.
you're a guy that needs to contain and you're pursuing, you single-handedly blew up the whole.
He
thing.
takes the bait too much.
No, taking the bait and biting is one thing. Not doing your job is a whole
Yeah,
nother
taking the
thing.
bait's failing your assignment.
No, it's not. Taking the bait is just being stupid. You're not the smartest person on the field. Choosing not to do your job is a whole nother thing.
So-
this is a Jadeveon Clowney argument. Jadeveon Clowney was pissed off last year because he didn't get to pursue. That wasn't his job. That's not why he came
You're
to
a
Cleveland.
run-stopping
He came to
edge.
Cleveland to stop the run on the strong side. That's why he came to Cleveland. This is an issue for
But
me
what
with
is
Will
an edge
McDonald.
position for? Containing the edge. Same thing as a cornerback.
Oh,
But
it
the
depends
biggest-
on if
so
you're
the-
playing a 4-3 or 3-4.
He doesn't contain it well during runs. That's our biggest. That's what we're just talking about. Is
Right.
he doesn't. That's one thing he doesn't do well is he doesn't contain the edge well in a run, and you're gonna put him as a strong side most likely with where you're drafting him. You're not gonna put him on the weak side as a pass rusher because that's not where he excels, and he's
Right.
more of a. He's
That's
there.
scary.
He's a run stopper. It's exactly what KJ. He's more of a Jadeveon
Right.
guy.
Yeah. But if you can't forget your assignment, like I get you want to go get the quarterback, but if your best ability is to break the tackle and get to the run,
Yeah.
please do that.
Yeah.
Please do that because that's where you're going to excel. And with the running backs in this league right now, you need to the team that drafts you need you to do that.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Another guy I'd like to talk about real quick, if we have time, is Adebawar.
a Debo
So he's
Ward-
the opposite of Will McDonald. He is a pass rusher. That is him. He is a bowling ball.
And it's
he
hard.
Is a
So
that's
before
you're
we
gonna put on
before
the
we
weak
talk about
side.
it, we got like, we'll have the 4 or 5 honorable mentions. But before we get into that, here's the thing. Holy cow! Sorry.
You good?
Yeah, I think I'm good. Here's the thing with this, right? So we have top 10,
Yes.
but in reality, there's probably 20 of these guys that could be an impact on day one.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much depth at the college position in this position, outside linebacker, edge, D tackle. There's just so much depth here that it's really kind of hard to break this down to just 10 guys. Now, if we had to tier this, I would have to say me and you would probably also agree on this, that our tier is Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, and Miles Murphy. Boom, that's our tier one guys.
I agree with that. I'd like to have Luke Van Ness in there, but
I'll
fringe.
put Lucas Van
fringe.
Ness in there, but like you said, like sometimes Van Ness is one of those guys that could be an issue.
It just depends. Has he hit his ceiling in college?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, I don't think he has, but he might have.
And then our tier 2 guys would be like your Carl
Brooks.
Brooks, your Isaiah Foskey, your Zach Harrison, your Ojulari, your Nolan Smith. No, take Nolan Smith out. Your Zach Harrison, BJ Ojulari, Isaiah Foskey, Carl Brooks, and then
tier 3.
Then I would go tier 3, which would be your Nolan Smith, Brenton Cox, Will McDonald, Drew Sanders, and Ed Debawar. And Ed Debawar is one of the guys you want to talk about, and then the other guy that we need to probably talk about is Drew Sanders, because these Drew Sanders and Nolan Smith are probably going to be the top 2 linebackers in our mind taken off the board, and they probably round 1 and 2, and that's just because of the position. So like we might have Nolan Smith ranked lower, but because positional wise he could go higher. Because of the position need.
Yeah. So Debawar is another guy who's great off the ball, speed. He has a wicked first step to get inside his man, able to to get his hands up and push through. He's not a guy who's going to slip through like a Myles Garrett or something like that. He's a bull rushing D end. He is the opposite of Will McDonald. You're going to put him on the weak side as a pass rusher.
He's a fighter too.
Yeah, he's a fighter. He's got great speed and strength. His hands are another top tier.
That's why I'm saying fighter. That's what I'm saying by fighter. When people understand fighting in a phone booth, like that, you're really good up in here, and he can get through that line with either his swim move or however he wants to do it. I just look like an idiot doing shit like this on camera.
He creates most of his pressures inside and can at times get too aggressive pursuing and puts him out of position. Able to chase down a running back quickly as well, depending on where he's at. But so the reason why I have him 11th and going late second, early third is just because of the way he over pursues and puts himself out of position. He's a guy that, he makes some bad decisions. He's got good football IQ, but, mentality wise, he could sure up a few things, maybe you can teach that in training camp. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he's tier 3. He's probably top of the tier 3 for me. I take him over Will McDonald. I like Will McDonald, but I view him, like we said, more of an outside linebacker, like we kind of view Drew Sanders. Now, what did you like about Drew Sanders?
Speed. I think Drew Sanders has a speed to get to both sides of the field. This is, to me, you guys watch the film on most of these linebackers, and this is definitely Steve's favorite guy.
I think the top 20 I watched film on.
Yeah, I think this is Steve's favorite guy at linebacker.
Yeah, Drew Sanders and Brenton Cox are Steve's. He loves him. So, I mean.
My issue with him is that he's a little undersized for the position as an edge. So, like, he is the prototypical outside linebacker. Yeah. But his intangible, which is his ability to find the ball.
Yeah, he's got a nose for it.
Yeah.
He led his team with 103 tackles this year. He loves contacts, hits the gap well, both in the run and the pass. Can be used as a defensive lineman too in certain positions. Yeah. I think he would. So he would be an edge in a 4-3, but most teams now in the NFL run a 3-4 or 3-4.
If you had to pick a guy like in this draft, he would be your Micah Parsons on the team. Like, he is all over the field. He can hit the gaps. And now it's hard because I think teams, and I have to go back and watch some of the film on Micah, but I think teams are finding a way to scheme away from Micah. They're finding a way to hide Micah on the defense, and they're getting outside of that.
Because you're going to use a tight end to block.
But a lot of it could be that, because we've talked about Dallas's defense, is that it's a high rush defense.
Yeah, they're very risky.
If teams find a way to get around that, so all of these players are playing full pursuit, and if you can get around that, none of these guys are going to show up on the field ever.
So there's
Johnny, we got some news in from Twitter. Oh, Johnny, can you give me that news, and we can move into what we were going to talk about? Go ahead.
So it's Stephon Diggs tweeting out saying, "Come and rescue me."
Oh, that was the first.
No, it could be, but it.
Who knows? That's late. That's late. That's an hour and 4 minutes until midnight. So.
Right. They are, but they're just blowing it up right now from what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
14 minutes.
So as a Bills fan, Stephon Diggs I don't want to say he's a diva at all. I respect the guy, love him.
Well, we had this conversation. It's hard to rank him as a top 10 wide receiver because personally, remember, because we were talking about wide receivers, we said, like,
he produces.
He produces, but I don't like his dramatic
outbursts.
He did this shit in Minnesota.
Well, I'm just saying, it was the championship game, or the playoff game where they lost to Cincy, and
he was flipping out on the sideline on Josh Allen.
Well, no, like they went back to the locker. Well, that too, but he went back to the locker room,
and he was
Duke
gone.
Johnson, he was trying to leave. Duke Johnson got him back, and then still stormed out.
Yeah, I don't care if you guys are down by 4. You stay. You're a team. You stay till the end. You're You're the number 1 wide receiver for your team. You don't leave your team out there. I'd lose respect for you there. I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
Antonio Brown 2.0.
Yeah, it could be. You know, I mean, like we said, we like quiet wide receivers. You know, we like our Amari Coopers, and that's not because he's a Brown. You know, Justin Jefferson. You haven't heard a lot about him.
CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel was never even loud until the media came at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. I don't know, like Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, though.
T. Higgins, yeah, that's what I was saying. So T. Higgins, I mean.
I was going to say Jamar and CD are still too young to really.
But even Amon-Ra, I don't hear much.
No.
Again,
and I like Amon-Ra.
He's going to be a third-year guy.
No, Amon-Ra. So Amon-Ra came out.
I'm sure he's vocal.
No, so I watched the video out of Amon-Ra after the draft, and he's like, he called out all the wide receivers he was drafted before, and he's like, I'm better than them. And he's
God!
Like certain guys, not like
you have to have arrogance to be in the NFL.
I liked it, but ever since then he's quiet. You don't hear about the guy. Oh, I'm the best wide receiver.
Obviously, you know me. I like
Cooper
DJ
Kupp.
Shark.
Yes.
I like DJ Shark. He's quiet. He's
Jordy Nelson.
But I mean, look at
Kupp's quiet. Let my actions speak louder than my words.
Look
that's
at
kind of how
Edelman.
Opposite of Juju, opposite of Chase Claypool. We don't like these guys that are on social media.
Even Brandon Marshall
loud.
back in the day, man. He was vocal with his actions. So he was very he would wear what he wanted, did what he wanted, but he wasn't very vocal on his quarterbacks. He wasn't vocal on his teams,
the play style, and
everything. and that's what
And this is gonna.
Des Bryant is like a debacle in the NFL because what
OBJ.
his potential could have been was not ever met.
Yeah, OBJ was the same way.
So,
Antonio Brown. I mean, there's just.
Yeah,
Diva is a vague.
Correct. But speaking of that, let's transition because we went through our top 10 DNs, and let's get into something that we don't normally do here. But I think we're going to have to start doing this because I think more people want this from us. And that is we're going to talk about a little bit of future production that we see for wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about where we think they might rank in 2023 in fantasy and in the NFL as producers. So we'll go over the top 5 quarterbacks in 2023, who we think is going to be the best producing quarterback for fantasy, and let's rank them top 5, and you might have to rank them a little different, right? Yeah. So we go top 5 for fantasy, and then we'll go top 5 as an NFL winning quarterback. Okay. We'll pick winning stats overall.
I mean, obviously, number 1's pretty easy, I think.
Mahomes.
Right?
I actually have Mahomes at 1. Do you have Mahomes at 1?
Yes. Two's I think where we might differ a little bit.
So 2 for me, if we're going to go for, let's go for fantasy aspects. So 2 for me for fantasy aspects is going to be Deshaun Watson.
Okay, I don't even have him in the top 5. I'm gonna be honest.
That's fine. This is for 2023. This is my production going forward. If you look at what Deshaun Watson did, if he was a smidge of what he did in 2020,
which I completely agree
with, which was 4,200 yards and 500 rushing yards or something like that.
I didn't think about him, so that's my bad. So, 2 for me is Joe Burrow.
Fantasy wise,
yep.
All right.
3.
3 for me, I would have to go, and you might not like this, and we're going fantasy-wise, right? Mm-hmm. As of right now.
If you say Dak Prescott.
Justin Fields. As of right now, 3 Justin Fields.
I don't hate that. The only issue I have with that is he's only produced 1 year, and most of his points came on the ground.
That's my point. Fantasy purposes.
We don't like a guy that runs
fantasy
a lot.
Purposes, though.
I know, but
running quarterbacks get you points. So fantasy purposes. That's why I keep emphasizing fantasy purposes.
So then, where's Danny Dimes?
Danny Dimes is
not top 5.
He's a running quarterback.
Well, I get it, but he's not. There's 5 other quarterbacks I think can produce just as much, if not more, than him. Is my point.
So
Don't think I'm not going to have other rushing quarterbacks up there.
So on fantasydata.com last year, the top 5 fantasy quarterbacks were Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Geno Smith.
I know.
Okay, so my
If we want to go to 10, it's Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Daniel.
But this is 2022.
Jared Goff.
This is 2022.
This past year.
Right.
Correct.
So let me go over my projections for this year.
I know. I'm just saying.
So that's why I believe Mahomes.
Right.
And then I said Deshaun Watson because they're not going to have him in there. And I bet you projection-wise, I'd be shocked if they had him in
My
there.
number 3 is Josh Allen. He's produced every year. You know, even with Diggs leaving, I think they'll get somebody in there to produce. I don't think Diggs is going to leave. I just think he needs to shut his mouth and just, I don't want to say shut his mouth and play football, but I think you just need to shut your mouth and be a team player. You know, you're not going to sit there, Stephon Diggs.
Oh. Well,
I think you're hurting the
oh,
team.
you 3 is Josh Allen.
Yeah, 3 is
Okay.
Josh Allen.
All right. So
4 is, who's yours?
my 4 would be Josh Allen.
Okay. And then my 4 is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I can see that. And
There's one guy in here I like because of depending on.
And here's what sucks, right? Because there's 2 guys that I would put at my 5, and one of them we don't even know what's going on with him because we're just fantasy
Lamar,
aspects.
yeah, that's why we're
So like I got Jalen Hurts as my 5, and then I would put Lamar at my 6.
Yeah. Justin Herbert is my 5. Lamar is my 6.
Right. So
And
we
it's
both
no-
have Lamar just outside of the top 5.
And I'm not bashing Lamar. It's more of a where is he gonna go? You know?
Who are his weapons?
Yeah,
How is his
exactly.
offensive line? What conference is he in?
Yeah.
Like a lot of that stuff is going to matter on what Lamar stats
Oh,
gets.
Ryan.
Oh jeez, I'm not hitting Lamar. I promise.
So
Hey, be happy I have Lamar in the top 10.
It's happy
fantasy-
you, happy
fantasy
you to
purposes.
show up there, buddy.
It's fantasy purposes.
So here would be
You got to
my
be
top
there to
5.
score points.
Who
Ryan.
would be your top 5?
It would be Mahomes.
Okay.
It would
So we all have Mahomes at
Yeah,
1.
there's
So
no question that Mahomes.
Okay.
Is number
It would
one.
be Burrow at 2.
So same as me so far.
Honestly, I would put Trevor Lawrence at 3.
Okay.
I mean, he's
I,
7.
I,
You're getting
and you
Cal-
haven't even explained it. I
You're
understand.
getting
it.
Calvin Ridley. You got Evan Ingram. You got Kirk.
Right. 4, I'd probably put Jalen Hurts. And then 5 would be a toss-up between Fields, Lamar, Jared Goff, and Daniel Jones.
Justin Herbert's better fantasy-wise than Jared Goff.
Yes, I do hate Lamar
Barely.
just because of.
I guess you could put Herbert in
Yeah,
there.
I believe
Yes.
this is more of dynasty ranking talks. That's why I have Justin Herbert up there in the 5. It's just the youngness of him.
No, I mean,
I think all those guys are young. There's
Yeah.
every
Well,
single one of these guys.
so-
There's no old quarterbacks in that conversation.
maybe Kirk Cousins, just because regular.
I didn't have Kirk Cousins
No,
in
no,
my
no.
top
I'm
hold-
5.
hold
talking
on.
about for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying, I would probably put Kirk. It'd be between Kirk, Goff, and Herbert at 5.
Okay, that's what I was talking
Just
about. with
because
age-wise.
Kirk is good in the regular season and just can't do anything.
okay. So that would in a redraft you would say Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a dynasty, you'd probably go Herbert.
I would
Yeah,
put either.
100%.
Yeah, I'd put Herbert or Daniel Jones.
So if you're in a redraft, your value is getting Herbert later then.
Yes.
Kirk's been a top 10 quarterback, I think, the last 3 years, though. We're close to it.
But knowing that Herbert's been consistent, just hasn't been top 5.
That's my point.
He could
Herbert
be-
Herbert has the most passing yards for the first 3 years of any career
Well,
quarterback.
but I'm saying that his ceiling and floor has been consistently higher. That's why in a redraft that he would still go higher than the other ones listed.
That's funny. It looks like a monster, but it's not. But it's not, Ryan.
We're talking both a mix of dynasty and
Yeah. Well, so okay. So now
Yeah,
give me your NFL rankings, right? Because that was our for fantasy rankings,
Oh,
right?
jeez.
Right.
Give me your NFL ranking for quarterback. For like where they rank in the NFL as I guess production and winning. Because
So I think my top 3 are the same. You got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. That's my top 3. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to change that.
So
Josh Allen, I'm putting down at 5. I'll be honest, because I think there's going to be some issues this year. So I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes.
especially if that shit with Stephon Diggs.
I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and actually I'm going to move Josh Allen out of my top 5, and just for you, Ryan.
Lamar would not
Lamar.
go in my top 5. That's funny. That's funny.
Depending on where he goes, he's gonna.
No.
Okay, so
wherever
here's what
Lamar's
I will
gonna go,
do.
he's
Here's what
gonna
I will do.
well.
This is all projections, right? This is all projections. I'm not holding. Well, I'm kind of gonna hold you to this later. Don't worry. So I'm gonna say Mahomes, right?
Yes, I mean,
Joe Burrow, 1 and 2. I think I'm
Yeah.
right there with you on that.
Everybody. I mean,
I will go. This is where it gets tricky for me because I have to put Deshaun Watson there at 3.
Is that the Browns fan in you, or is that the?
I think that's the
fantasy
potential.
guy in you?
It's the potential in him.
Okay.
It's like
It's still there.
with
Still...
not Devonta Smith, with Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, DPJ, David Njoku.
Okay.
I think with the weapons you have, the offensive line you have, and an offseason, he has everything he needs in this city to be better than he was in Houston if his ability has been there.
I forgot to talk about a quarterback that was pretty much comatose for half the year.
Tua?
Yes, Tua.
Or Kyler?
Tua.
I just don't think
No,
Tua's
Kyler was.
I don't think Tua's
Kyle.
coming back the same.
Comatose cod. Tua's got.
I don't think he's coming back the same, man.
If I don't see it
And it's
either.
funny because when you look at my wide receivers, you would think I was thinking Tua would come back the same.
So let me ask you this.
So hold on, that was 3, right? Deshaun Watson was my 3.
Let's get through it.
Justin Herbert would be my 4. Derek Carr would be my 5. If you're talking about NFL quarterbacks,
I don't disagree with that. I get it.
and I know a lot of people don't like Derek Carr in there, but I Josh Allen's slipping out of there because if you do lose Stephon Diggs and you do have the turnover ratio that you had prior to Stephon Diggs, you're in trouble.
I'm like I said, I'm a Bills fan, but I'll be the first to sit there and criticize Josh Allen. If you look at Josh Allen after losing Brian Dable, and I know you might get sick of me saying that, he's
I don't think you say it. It's a legit point. It's a legit point, but Stephon Diggs is the only reason his stats went up.
Yeah, he's another guy that relies on the run a little bit too much. And even Sean McDermott came out and said we got to change the way that Josh Allen plays the game. Well, yeah, you should have changed that years ago. You don't have a running game.
People need to understand, right? So like we harass D-Hop all the time for being 31.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We harass Odell for being 31. Yeah. We harass Jesus criminy. We harass Julio Jones. Yeah. All these receivers being old. Stephon Diggs, 29.
He's up there, 100%.
It's different with OPJ and Julio because of the injuries the past.
29 is the ceiling, man. This might be his best year coming up, and then after that, just start going.
Cooper Kupp.
What did I say, though? I said this is the last year. If they do not do something, it's done. Sean McDermott's probably going to be fired.
Stephon Diggs might be
Stephon Diggs is probably going to be traded. I mean, you got Isaiah McKenzie, you got Khalil Shakir. No, you don't have Isaiah McKenzie.
Not anymore.
You got Khalil Shakir. I forget the.
Well, they got young.
Isaiah went to New England, or I know he got picked up.
Yeah, he went somewhere. But I mean, this is the last year for the Bills. I mean, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, or make it deep in the playoffs,
I think he went to the Giants.
I think you're right.
I think Isaiah Hodgins went to the Giants.
No, Isaiah McKenzie
was with the Giants.
Oh, McKenzie went to New England.
Okay, yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
My apologies. He went to New England. So that's where I have those guys. And we can get in. I think what we'll do, we'll have some fun with the next show. We might do like a ranking. We'll do a QB ranking projection for 2023. And it'll be fun because
season or fantasy.
Season.
Okay.
He went to the Colts.
We can do both.
Isaiah McKenzie went to the Colts.
You want to do running back?
That makes sense. You're right.
Because
they lost Paris Campbell.
Yeah, on a $1.2 million deal.
That's right. So let's jump in. Let's jump into wide receivers because we did talk about Tua. So our top 5 wide receivers in 2023. This should be some fun here because let's go into fantasy aspects. These should be almost similar fantasy stats and NFL stats. Because in order to be a good wide receiver, you have to have stats. Different for a quarterback.
It's going to be one different for me, but yeah.
Different quarterback. But so here's what I have as my number 1. I have JJ.
Are we going to talk PPR or non-PPR?
PPR. I mean, PPR.
So everything
I'm
arguing is going to be based on full PPR, 6-point receiving touchdowns, 6-point rushing touchdowns. Simple. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And for quarterbacks, it was 6-point passing touchdowns instead of 4.
My number 1 is JJ as well.
Yeah, I think that the overall consensus would have to be JJ.
So number 2 is going to be.
Well, it's good conversation here because now when you look at rankings of these teams, so like Mahomes, best quarterback, JJ, best wide receiver. So when you go to draft and a redraft, these are guys you're going to want to target in that first round. Yeah. If you go dynasty, these are still young guys. I wouldn't have an issue targeting these guys in a first round dynasty draft.
I would say both.
I wouldn't have an issue trading for these guys because both these guys still have 3 to 5 years still left in the tank.
Compared to trading 3 first rounds. Cam Akers and a second or 2 seconds.
He's in the chat. He can talk.
So Stephon Diggs is my number 2 just because of what he's produced. Which, for fantasy, I understand.
Well, hold on. So you have okay. Here's one. This one will throw a freaking curveball at you.
Jalen Waddle?
No. Based on production since last year,
Tyreek.
I'm on Rod too.
I was gonna put him up in the top 5.
Wait, hold on.
I
Are
was
we
gonna
saying
get
is this
chastised.
dynasty or redraft first?
Oh, this is just fantasy stats,
Okay.
PPR.
Just fantasy
I don't
PPR.
really
So
care.
we're just going overall ranking
Yeah.
instead of like how we just did with quarterback, dynasty, and
Yeah, and then we'll
Well,
do top
for the most
5.
part, quarterback, Ryan asked that question after we did the rankings.
right.
So I said I would take all these guys in a dynasty, and you're the one that brought up Kirk Cousins, who it doesn't even break my top 10.
Okay, who's your number 3?
Number 3, Tyreek.
Mine's Jamar. 4 is
Right.
Tyreek.
I agree,
for me.
right.
Ooh, you have Jamar high. I'm proud of you. Look at you today. He's putting Lamar and Tyreek.
Lamar.
Feeling different.
Yeah, dude, he's like, there's something wrong with him today because these are guys he's been hating on all offseason. It's just funny. I have Tyreek at 3 and I have Jalen at 4.
Okay.
And that was my argument with you earlier, right?
You just get youngness. I mean, like I said, Jalen Waddle, I would take Jalen Waddle as T. Higgins as my 1 and 2 all day. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. If you can get out of these guys, I'd take it. What's the what for? Don't just ask what. I hate when people
Because
do
the
that.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I think projection-wise, I think Amon-Ra is going to – I think he is
Yeah.
going to have his best year next year.
Sun God is a god.
You got Jamison Williams
He's a
coming
beast.
back. It frees up some space for Amon-Ra because DJ Chark wasn't there all season. They were playing with second, third, fourth string guys on that depth chart.
Do you think they draft a tight end?
I think they're going to have to do something at tight end. I don't know what.
I would like to see them go after Irv Smith, personally.
But
So that's personally what I see. I see Amon-Ra is probably going to be statistically the second best wide receiver next year. And I know it sucks when you break the mold. It sucks, man, when you
It's
throw
hard.
a guy up there that everybody's going to go off on.
Well, so then I'll have a question once we get through the top
My
5.
5 is A.J. Brown.
AJ Brown.
Okay.
We both have AJ Brown at 5.
He's
But
what, 26?
my 6 and 7, and it's funny because I have Jamar at 7. I've got Amari Cooper at 6 because I have Deshaun Watson being up there with stats, so I have to have him throwing to somebody.
So I got Jalen Waddle and T. Higgins at 6 and 7.
Do you? All right. So okay. So now.
So my question would be,
I love Amon-Ra, don't get me wrong, but I should have put him in.
my question would be, who is someone that you could see?
We know Irv Smith signed somewhere already, and I was ecstatic where he signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
No, Ryan. Wheels said that he would have liked to see Irv go.
Yeah, I like to see
you
Irv
said
go
that?
to. I'd like to see Irv go to Detroit. He would have fit well there.
Yeah. So, but
Since I love the signing.
So
in
my question-
Cincinnati.
I'm trying to trade for him in my.
my
dynasty.
question is someone that's out of the top 5, out of the top 10. Who can you see that could be
Break into
those?
it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So T's out of there. Deebo's out of there.
Excluding Cooper Kupp, just because.
Depending on the quarterback on the Jets.
I'm
Garrett
going to
Wilson.
say Michael Pittman.
Garrett Wilson.
Out of the Colts. Michael Pittman.
So
I think he's out of
Pittman,
the top 10.
I don't.
He
I,
can
Garrett
get
Wilson, not
So
top 10.
I don't-
Garrett Wilson, yeah. Chris
I don't
Olave.
say Garrett
Olave.
Wilson. I don't say Wilson or Olave because I already think that they would be in the top 10.
DK.
Because no matter who has been throwing to them last year for their rookie year, they still produce.
Do you guys
But
wanna
they
do
weren't
it?
a top 10 wide
Let's do
receiver.
a top 10 real quick.
I don't want to go.
Wilson
I have
was
to do more.
21.
I have to do more research.
It's not that.
I have to do a little more research, but I think
research.
Garrett Wilson is currently out of the top 10. That I would have to put him in like my top 5,
Wilson-
or I think he could break into the top 5.
Wilson for fantasy finished at 21 last year.
I think Michael Pittman's up there for me personally. I think he can-
Pittman finished 27th.
Okay. But look who he was playing with: freaking Matt Ryan,
Right.
Sam
What-
Ehlinger.
Ryan is just asking questions and not
No. So Ryan, those were two guys that they could see that
Break
their
into-
ceiling be in the top 10, maybe top 5.
That aren't currently in it.
Correct.
But he probably thinks Garrett Wilson's in his top 10. I don't know.
So,
I don't know.
Ryan, while we still talk about this, because I'm going to go through my top 5.
And Monroe's in my top 10.
Ryan, submit your top 5 wide receivers for next year, or even top 10.
You're gonna
if
have
you
to pay me for that.
Right. Well, then say for fantasy wise, because it's fantasy and not actual rankings. I would say, Jefferson.
Droving? I don't know what droving is.
Driving.
That's new.
Justin Jefferson, obviously, is one.
Yeah.
It has to be. I would say Tyreek is 2.
Okay. Tyreek's older though.
But just overall ranking, just for next year.
Tyreek's another guy who's 29, like Stephon.
So,
I know. But it doesn't mean he doesn't have one more good year.
No.
Okay.
I'm not. Tyreek will go. I think Tyreek will play out.
I would
He'll be like a
say-
Fitzy.
3rd would be AJ Brown.
Okay.
4th would be Devontae Adams. Well, no, because who they have?
You know what's
Garoppolo?
funny? You know what's funny? I almost had. I literally when I was
It was
typing this out.
close.
Well, when I was typing this out, I had Devontae at 1. because of all the other receivers there, that he's going to only be able to get single coverage. And then I thought about how little Garoppolo throws the ball, and I was like, this is going to be Cam.
Even though they're saying that this is a more attractive and better statistical car.
It's Derek Carr, but Jimmy G has only thrown 25 passes a game max. Derek Carr can throw 40.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, I just don't see
He's a game manager.
Yeah.
That's what you got to, exactly.
So JJ, Tyreek, AJ, I would have to say, I think Amari would be 4.
I think Amari can be up there.
And then I would say...
And Amari's like 29 too.
Who's your one guy?
So then 5th would be... I would say I'm on St. Brown.
So here's the thing, right? All of those guys redraft, right? I would say all these guys are a redraft league.
Yes.
If you're going to take these guys in a dynasty, because I think this matters. I think this matters completely. So if I were to go take a top 5 dynasty guys, right? I got to put Amon-Ra up there. I got to put Devontae.
Well, so
Smith
so if it's or dynasty, it would be JJ, AJ Brown, CD, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith.
No, Jamar Chase is probably above AJ Brown for me.
Well, I'm just going off. I'm not listing these in a certain order.
Oh, I'm just
listing ones that would be first, second rounds, hands down.
Yeah, I got
So it would be JJ, AJ Brown, CD Lamb, Jalen Waddle, St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk, Jamar Chase.
I don't see
T. Higgins still.
This might sound crazy.
Obviously Olave and Wilson.
I don't know if I would have Jalen Waddle, and I know this is going to sound crazy, Brian.
Well, so...
I don't know if I had Jalen Waddle in my top 5 for Dynasty.
I don't.
So
I'd have him on before I have
So,
Waddle.
Ryan,
and that's because of quarterback situation there. I don't know if Tua's going to be there, and then if Tua's not going to be there, what happens?
So,
Ryan, is going to still
so Ryan, you said Garrett Wilson over St. Brown? I don't necessarily
he's saying Wilson over St. Brown.
Yeah,
and I would, especially if Aaron Rodgers was going there. But here has this.
I get it.
Hey Ryan, do you take Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson over Amon-Ra and Jared Goff?
Man, I love football.
Jared Goff is just...
I'm just saying, though.
He's going to be the new Kirk Cousins.
No, I told you, he's Phillip Rivers.
So Kirk Cousins.
No, Kirk Cousins is consistently good. He just
not in
sucks
prime
in the
time.
Playoffs.
Right, that's what I said at the quarterback talk.
Phillip Rivers sucked in the playoffs.
Well, he's got to get there.
That's what I said for
Phillip
the
Rivers rarely got to the playoffs.
All right.
Let's go into our top 5 running backs at fantasy basis.
Hated for this, oh buddy.
Did you see who I got sneaking up in the background?
Penny?
It's Kenneth
Is that
Walker.
Lamar?
That's Kenneth Walker.
Oh, of course you would. Well, then where's Dameon Pierce?
So my number one's Josh Jacobs.
Trade Dameon Pierce.
Trade
him now.
My number one's Josh
I'll
Jacobs.
tell you that in a dynasty, trade Dameon Pierce.
So whether it's dynasty or redraft, just
Josh
overall.
Jacobs. The dude's produced every year.
Has he?
Yes, he has.
10 touchdowns on average the last 3 years.
He gets hated because...
We've been telling you this consistently.
Yeah, me and KJ are on the same page with Josh Jacobs.
Here's the thing.
Averages. It's 12,
this one,
9,
you're going to
12,
like
7.
this one. So, redraft. CMC. 1 overall.
Okay.
Yes.
Risky. I'd like it.
It's not risky. I think they're going to protect him, and I think he's on a team that
which is stupid
already
that he didn't
produces
go to the Pro Bowl
good
last
running
year.
backs.
Yeah, but we like we
Don't
said.
worry. We already know the Pro Bowl's bunk after frickin' whatchamacallit made it in behind Lamar.
Yes.
After Huntley made it to the Pro Bowl, I was like, this is a joke.
So, all right. So you said, redraft. Josh Jacobs for Wheels and
CMC
for KJ.
For 2, Derrick Henry.
CMC. For me.
Okay. 3, I got Nick Chubb.
Saquon Barkley.
It's funny. Saquon barely makes it in my 5. I got Josh Jacobs at 4.
Derrick Henry.
And then I have Saquon at 5.
Nick Chubb. With the
6 and 7, I got to put in there because of touchdowns. Dalvin Cook and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders' touchdown production last year was very good.
So you
I agree with
snuck
that.
Kenneth Walker in this graphic, but you don't have him in your top 5.
I said redraft.
It's clickbait. And so the reason why I have Nick Chubb at 5 is because he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield.
Okay.
That's why I have him. Right now. That's why I have him 5. I think that's going to change this year.
But also, we're talking fantasy. Touchdowns matter.
Yeah, but
Nick Chubb is in top averages 10 touchdowns a year almost.
So does Josh
He's right there with the Josh Jacobs. That's my argument.
Josh Jacobs receives the ball, so it increases his value.
Correct, especially if we're talking full PPR for a running back.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's what I'm going. That's what we said we're going off as
Yep.
full PPR. So that's why Nick Chubb is low. I'm a huge Brown fan, yes, but
But what about
no
Austin
hate.
Eckler then?
Well,
He's old.
So my redraft top 5.
But
27.
redraft though.
But we don't know where he's playing, so I can't put him on the team.
And
Okay.
again, this is
That's
full.
like I said. This is why
I'm just asking that
Yeah.
question because if we're going to preface this, we need to make sure that there's a reason why we don't have Austin Eckler
it's
in
the
there.
same reason Lamar is in the top 5 for me because I don't know where he's paying.
So
Okay.
And
Go
for
ahead.
people, this is also PPR. So
Full
Damian
PPR.
Pierce.
passes are relevant. My top 5 would be Saquon, CMC.
Is this in order?
Yes, Saquon, CMC, Jacobs. I would put Eckler, and then Henry.
I don't like the Eckler one, but So what do you?
I'm not opposed to
Do you
it.
think no matter where Eckler goes, he's going to produce like he did with the Chargers?
This is assuming
already-
that Eckler stays with
Okay,
Chargers.
so it's 100%. If he stays with the Chargers, I agree with that
Yeah.
because he is Justin Herbert's safety blanket.
Did you know he's top? I think he's top 20 in targets.
Yeah.
So he
I
ended
have
up on
him in my
on the
dynasty.
receiver list.
Well, so here's the thing: is that he had 107 receptions last year.
I made that argument the other day, and when I looked at the top receivers on NFL.com, Austin Eckler snuck his way into the top 20 receivers.
127 targets last
Yes.
year.
So
There you go, Ryan.
So
that one's
if
for you.
if Eckler is not in with the Chargers, then I would move Henry up to 4, and then I'd probably put
All right.
Aaron Jones.
He had more targets than T. Higgins last year.
Yeah. But that's a number 2 wide receiver.
So now Dynasty,
Okay.
because you said that was redraft.
Yeah, because running backs is a rough situation. And there's somebody we didn't include in this list, which I am mind effed because he's on my team.
Then I'll ask the same thing.
Oh,
Well,
so you know what? Dynasty, I'm changing this whole list up.
Well, so while
Like Jameson Williams.
No,
running back.
running back.
Oh, running back. Sorry.
So
Give me your
you're
dynasty.
thinking
Give
Jamal
me your
Williams.
dynasty, and then I'll go so I can get this accurate. Give me your dynasty, Johnny.
Well, all right, and then I'll ask the same question that we did with the wide receivers: who's one that can sneak in? And I have one depending on how it plays out with off-field issues.
I have 5 that can sneak in. Running backs, there's so many good running backs.
But there's
I think,
one in
this year.
particular.
There's
So for
And if you say Rashad Penny, I'm punching him in the face.
no, not him.
He's
at
going to
all.
get injured week 4.
So dynasty rankings, it would still be it'd be CMC, Saquon.
You still put CMC in your dynasty at almost 30 years old.
He's 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was drafted young. Yeah, he's
Really?
Right, here, right, look, 26.
Oh, okay.
So-
okay.
So he'll probably be 27.
I
before
didn't
the
think he
next-
was that freaking young.
Neither did I. That's why I looked. I was like,
Holy
what? He
cow.
must have been
Okay.
drafted super young. Sorry,
My
John.
bad.
No, you're good. So CMC, Saquon. I would put.
There's a running back coming out of the NFL.
I would. Well, so I'm talking current ones.
This is
not,
projections of 2023, though.
Yeah.
But it would have to depend on where they.
Don't
land.
forget, Breece Hall is still in the NFL.
Well,
Breece Hall,
so,
Javonte
well,
Williams,
and that's what I'm
Damian
deciding
Pierce.
about. So it's obviously
Walker.
Saquon, CMC, hands down. I would have to say Kenneth Walker. I would have to say.
You're forgetting somebody.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to necessarily put.
You're
BJ in
all
the top
forgetting
5.
somebody.
Who?
It's Breece, and then who's Michael?
Brees.
Who's the other Michael Carter?
Well, Michael Carter is not
Travis
good. I wouldn't put Michael.
Etienne.
So I would say CMC, Saquon, Kenneth Walker,
The most productive back in
Breece Hall.
2021.
Breece Hall, and then Josh Jacobs.
I mean, 2022.
Who was the most productive back in 2021?
No.
What, you're saying Leonard Fournette?
Who sat out almost all of 2022?
So 2021, Joe Mixon.
Who was the most productive back?
I don't know.
Guys, Jonathan Taylor.
Oh God.
He's 25 years old.
I'd put.
How do you have JT not in your top 5?
He'd be outside.
Dynasty.
He'd be outside of it just because of the quarterback play, because of Minshew. I like Minshew, however,
Look at what he did with freaking Carson Wentz.
I think Carson's better, or Carson was better.
I'll take
when he
Gardner
was
over
there.
Carson. I'm sorry.
Bro, I don't care who is at quarterback. The whole point is that entire offense runs through Jonathan Taylor. It's the Derrick Henry argument.
Yeah.
So then why wasn't Taylor in your top 5 for redraft?
I laughed. Did I not say that? I'm like, oh man, you know who's not in here?
Yeah.
I was like, shit. Jonathan Taylor would push Saquon out of my 5. Jonathan Taylor would go 5, and Saquon would go to 6, and that's because Saquon only has had 1 year of health.
No.
I don't trust. Outside of last year,
No.
Saquon has had 2 total years of health. I apologize.
So
He had his rookie year, and then he had last year.
So 2019 and 2021, he still played games. 13 games started. 2019, he still had over 1,000 yard rushing and 430.
I don't disagree.
With 73 targets.
1,000 yards rushing, bro, ain't gonna get you a top 5 spot in this NFL. Look at the top 5 running backs last year: 1,500, 1,600, 1,400, 1,300. That's their rushing yards. And each of them, 10 to 12 touchdowns. Each single one of them.
So the other thing, though, is he's on the franchise tag. They want to sign him. Do you don't think that he's going to ball out like Josh Jacobs?
I don't know if Saquon has 2 back-to-back healthy years in him.
I think so.
Don't get me wrong.
Because then you could say
if you ask Ryan, I said, dude, this is Saquon's year last year. This is the year you go get Saquon.
Oh,
if you're
I
trying
said
to
that
win,
too.
Saquon. And Ryan made a steal of a trade.
I said that too.
Saquon.
And Bo was trying to get rid of Saquon.
I
almost took him.
I don't remember what Ryan traded, but it was great. Let's go to Dynasty. Let me go to Dynasty running backs. Dynasty running backs. At 1, the Bijan thing's hard because where is he going?
That's why I didn't include 2023.
So here's what I'll do.
Well, so then
I think at 1, what I'm gonna say is.
So with Bijan, where do you think he could go to be a top 5 running back?
Honestly, it's almost anywhere, but
no, because there's too many committees.
No, it only matters if it's a committee back, right?
If he goes to Buffalo, he's not top 5.
But if he goes to Cincy, he's top 5. If he goes to Dallas, he's top 5.
Yeah,
He's not going to Buffalo.
That's why I would say
he could.
If he goes to Kansas City, that could hurt.
He's
him.
not going to Kansas City.
That could hurt him. No.
Well, so here would be the 2 I would think: Dallas,
Eagles,
and the Chargers.
I can see the Eagles taking him.
You know what?
Eagles.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to put Jonathan Taylor at 1. It makes too much sense for me. He's young.
I'll do that too. I'm going to agree with you.
And I will put CMC at 2. Because based on what they are consistently doing and they're still young, I got at least 2 to 3 more years in CMC.
I got Josh Jacobs too.
Josh Jacobs, I'd put 3. I don't have an issue with that. Now
CMC's 3 for me.
This is where I think I'd struggle. I'd put Kenneth Walker at 4.
I have Pierce at 4 personally, and Kenneth 5.
Well, so me and Ryan talk about Pierce a lot, just because Pierce is a
you gotta remember,
he's a run at you kind of back.
You got a Tyler Algier too. There's a lot.
Well,
of
the only issue with Tyler Algier is that he runs very good when they split carries. Tyler Algier's production's high. I don't know if it's going to stay the same if he's on the field.
He's not a workhorse.
True, he's not a true
bell cow.
Yeah, bell cow. Yeah, exactly. He's not a Nick Chubb.
You know what? Bijan's at 5 for me. I don't care where he goes. Bijan, I'll put at 5.
So then, what about
But Breece
Walker?
Hall would. I have Kenneth Walker at 4.
Okay.
Breece Hall would probably be right around 6 for me on that team.
Breece would be 6.
Because if Aaron Rodgers goes there, like look what Aaron Jones did.
Yep.
So I think that Aaron Rodgers with a good running back, I think would help. So Breece Hall would probably be 6 for me.
Which is why I put Breece at 4.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, and that would be a guy like easily Breece Hall could be the number 1 running back if he comes back from that knee injury the way he was. He could be the number 1 running back.
So it would depend because Saquon, CMC, so on. The year after their injury, they've sucked, and then because they need that full year to fully recoup.
Yeah.
So Wheels, what's your 5?
But he got injured like week 6.
Right.
My 1 is JT. My 2 is Josh Jacobs. My 3 is CMC. My 4 is Dameon Pierce. My 5 is Kenneth Walker. Okay. My 6th is Breece Hall, and then my 7 would probably be Bijan.
So,
and that's dynasty.
That's dynasty, yes.
So then,
I think you have to go out if you need a running back and you have a 1st-round pick. I think you need to trade up and get Bijan because I think he's the real deal.
So hold on.
So here's a question. The same thing. Who is a not top 10 running back in your rankings that you think could be a top 10 or a top 5?
So I'm so high on Tyler Algier.
And I have 2.
That's who I have is Tyler.
Because Tyler
Algier.
Algier is out of my top 10, but I think he has the capability. And Damian Pierce would be another one I think is out of my top 10. But Isaiah Pacheco, easily.
Yeah.
He took over the role.
7th round pick.
Yeah, he took over the role on that team. And if they need a receiver and they utilize him in the receiving game, to me, I see Pacheco as Kareem Hunt 2.0 in that roster.
He fits. He plays well in that system. He's a
So get ready for him to be your kicker. Gotcha.
Jesus.
He pushed her with his foot.
Speaking of kicking, let's talk to tight ends.
Jesus. No, go ahead, Johnny. You said you had 2 guys.
So I would say ETN, but he is in my top 10. So
That's the problem, right? He's
so-
in your top
Running back's
10.
hard.
So depending on what happens
you
to
get old as
Kamara,
shit.
I would say Jamal Williams.
Oh shit, I forgot about.
I got
Kamara.
Kamara for a 3rd round pick in my dynasty.
So another
I
one.
forgot about Kamara.
So another one would.
There's just so many good running backs in the NFL. Like,
Dime a
But
dozen.
Kamara is
It's a dime a dozen.
28, I think, when the season starts.
Yeah.
So the other one I would say.
oh yeah, if we're talking strictly dynasty, you're talking out of your top 10 in dynasty.
I'm just saying overall running back rankings.
Out of your top 10.
Correct. Another one could be David Montgomery.
No.
From everything that I have read and watched.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is like 11 for me. Like sneak it right in
No,
there.
he would be 10 for me because Jordan Love's going to dump it off to him more.
I don't know, man. I think you'd be shocked if they use AJ Dillon a shit ton more this year. Watch.
No, I think that they'll purposely use Jones and trade him during the year.
Miles
Or
Sanders,
draft.
you know what? Miles Sanders is young too. He's 25. So.
But Sanders I would have at 7 or 8.
Yeah, he would be my top 10. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I would say Montgomery because he. I would
Nick
say.
Chubb's fairly young. This is hard.
But I would say I would say
I'm sitting
Montgomery.
here like I keep going back through it. Like this is kind of hard.
I would say Montgomery is like 15th, but because him and Jamal are very similar. I think that he will fill Jamal's role and DeAndre Swift will still be the RB2.
Yeah, that would be my. So here's the issue: is that's just a,
And
that's
that's
split
why.
carry backfield, and
Right.
Jamal gets the touchdowns, and Swift gets all the other
So
yardage.
Jamal was when he was with Detroit, he was the vulture at the red zone.
I just
He's
don't.
got all the-
Jamal's never been a feature back.
No, he's a red zone back.
Yeah. So you see him stepping into Latavius Murray's
could be
role.
good.
You
I
see,
like him a
he
lot.
sees him stepping into
Look, with
Latavius
Kamara
Murray's role.
gone, yeah, I picked him. I traded for him
I'm not opposed to
in
that. All
Dynasty
right.
because of the.
Let's
Alvin
jump
Kamara.
into the last rankings
Tight
for
ends.
offensive production, and that would be our tight ends. Now, this one is probably going to be a little more clear-cut. Johnny looks like he lost the graphic, or I didn't make one.
Yeah, I would say you didn't.
I didn't make it.
So number one, I think it's pretty easy for all of us. to
So
say
one
Kelsey,
overall,
right?
it's going to still continue to be Kelsey. He is getting older. He's 35 or 36.
My number 2, you guys aren't gonna like. It's gonna be Ertz.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that means you love Kyler. What is this role you keep breaking out of today? Holy cow.
When Kyler is healthy and Ertz is healthy, Kyler loves targeting tight ends.
But
Kyler loves-
Kyler drops out after October because he doesn't play and
But
focuses
Ertz
on
still
Call of Duty.
produces. He just got hurt this year.
Marquise Brown. Oh, that's a good guy that could slip into my top 10 at wide receiver.
Marquise.
Marquise Brown.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
I like that. That's a yeah.
Yeah.
So who's your
'Cause
number?
he's out
two?
of my top 10.
Who's your number one?
So
Johnny?
number two,
It's easy consensus.
All right.
Travis Kelsey.
number two is Kittle. I gotta go with Kittle.
Okay. What about you, Johnny? Who's your number 2?
Ooh.
They're gonna utilize Kittle more in that passing game. They're gonna try to focus on Kittle and CMC.
Yeah.
I think they're
And-
gonna.
I'll say Kittle.
Okay.
Number 3, and this is
Hold
these-
on. What's your number 2?
No, mine's
He
2.
said- he
Mine's
said
2's
Zach
Ertz.
Ertz.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
that didn't hit your head as soon as he said it. Jesus.
It hit me that hard.
Zach
It
Ertz?
hit me that hard that I forgot.
40-year-old tight end at
My-
like 2? What the hell is wrong with
my
you?
number 3 is TJ.
Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I got Andrews.
I was just gonna say
Andrews.
mine's Andrews.
Andrews is 3.
Andrews my 4.
Okay, my 4 is David and Njoku.
Dallas Goddard.
You're just on your knees for the Browns.
Dallas Goddard's my 4.
My number 5 is Kittle.
Here's the thing, right?
I know it comes back to the Watson thing.
If Watson puts up 4,000 yards, who the fuck's it going to?
Well, it's going to go to Amari.
Amari
It's going to
Cooper,
go to Elijah,
David Njoku,
Elijah.
Nick Chubb, Elijah Moore, and DPJ. 5 guys. David Njoku's getting 800 yards, and he's only projected. I think he got 800 yards this year, or 500 yards this year.
I think he gets more touchdowns. I think he gets like. I'm going to tell you right now.
Great.
I think he gets 9.
Give
touchdowns.
him the red zones.
I think he's going to get 9 touchdowns.
That right there is why I would put him in my top 5.
Which I get.
No.
All right.
So hold on.
I have Hawkinson at 5.
Okay.
So I'm right there with you.
And then my 5th.
But there's 2 guys that I have higher.
My 5th would probably be Schultz. So
You're disgusting.
Dalton Schultz produced though.
So
Who's
say
throwing him the ball?
say
Bryce Young?
No, it's going to be Hendon Hooker next year when they
So-
draft him in the
So
second
how we're
round.
projecting 2023, not 2024.
Davis Mills, I don't know.
So
State Farm
recoup
insurance
your
agent.
top 5, KJ.
My top 5 at tight end for fantasy production would be Travis Kelce. Number 2 would be George Kittle. Number 3 would be Mark Andrews. Number 4 would be David Njoku. Number 5 would be T.J. Hawkinson.
And then say yours.
Kelsey 1, Ertz 2, Hawkinson 3, Andrews 4, and Kittle 5.
All right. So
Now, hold on. Needless to say, I suck at projecting tight ends.
well, so tight end.
So do I.
It's
So it
difficult
doesn't
because
matter.
there's normally 2 that produce, and then that's it.
You know who
That's
we
it.
all
Like
did?
they leave the pack.
Well,
So-
there's a tier 1, and the tier 1 is Kelce, Andrews, Kittle. And then your tier 2
Right.
is everybody else.
Right.
So
So then
your
my,
top 5.
so my top 5 was Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, Goddard, and then Schultz.
All right,
I have Goddard as 7.
Who's
So-
out of your top 10?
You guys
that
are
you
missing
use in?
somebody.
Well,
though.
so I wouldn't say top 10 because
Say Darren Waller, I'm punching you.
Well,
Kyle Pitts, I'm going to punch you in the dick. Darren Waller, I'm going to punch you in the dick.
I like Kyle Pitts.
I wouldn't
If I
say
were to go
He hasn't
dynasty,
produced.
if I were
The
to go
dude hasn't done
dynasty, I'd
anything.
still take Kyle Pitts.
He
I
hasn't
wouldn't
done
say
anything.
top 10 just because again how they fall off. Who is out of your top 5 that could
be
get
top
it?
tier. I would say Pitts. You know, I'd go.
Darren
for-
Waller.
No, you know what? No, I'll take Pat Freiermuth before. I take
Darren
Pitts.
Waller's ceiling is here. His current floor is here.
Darren Waller is.
Darren Waller is so far out of my top
He
10.
sucks ass. I'm sorry.
So there's 2 I
I
would
hate
say.
Darren Waller more than Lamar Jackson.
So there was 2 that I would say. One I would say Freiermuth as well.
Yeah, Freiermuth.
I
and
actually
Pitts.
put Freiermuth at 7. I had to take him out. I forgot.
Freiermuth and Pitts.
And then I could see K. Dotton.
Kate Otten.
Dude, you guys are killing me.
Who's
from
Who's
Tampa?
gonna be throwing the ball
Mike?
downfield? Baker? No.
Mike Gesicki.
Baker
Do
Mayfield.
not forget about this
Mike
guy.
is in New England.
Right. That's why he's
Where
at my
tight ends-
6.
Where
And-
tight ends go to die.
Right. So hold on. Who it was?
Other than Gronk, who's produced there?
Dude, both tight ends produced last year.
Aaron Hernandez was producing.
Yeah,
Every tight end is produced in that state.
They wasted Johnny
City.
Smith.
I was just gonna say where.
They had also Hunter Henry.
Yes.
They had 2 tight ends. Hunter Henry produced.
Hunter Henry didn't do shit.
Well, no,
thought.
they
Hold
pretty
on.
much had same stats last year.
Yeah,
Henry
they
and
both
Johnny.
produced for 1,000 yards total. Hunter Henry's still there. Gesicki, the reason why they got Gesicki is he will now be a
They might have.
featured receiving
It was
back.
1,000 yards combined.
tight end.
It was 1,000.
That's what I said. Both of them got 1,000 yards together. Yeah.
Well, you didn't say together.
Whatever.
You just said
That's
both had
what I
1,000
meant.
yards.
One had 5, one had like 4 something.
Hunter Henry had 104 fantasy points. That's terrible.
Right. Gesicki will be there. Trust me. Gesicki
Yes,
will.
Gesicki will.
Gesicki's
yes.
out of my top 5, but he
Oh,
is going
okay.
to
Out of your
produce.
top
He's
five.
number
Okay,
6.
that's
He's number
fine.
6
My
for
bad.
me.
I thought you said he's in your
Well,
top
so
5.
hold on. What about your boy Irv? You don't think that he could be top
Oh,
5
he forgot
potential?
about him.
No,
He
I'm
forgot.
scared. If
You're
You-
gonna break a nail this
he
year.
might break a nail, and he
He's
might
a
be out for
puss.
6 games for breaking a nail. Okay.
Turf toe.
So, but here's what I will say about Irv. Irv's potential. He's one of those guys like Darren Waller. Ceiling's here. Floor is way down here
So-
because staying on the field for these guys.
So
is-
Henry had 509 yards. Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Jonnu had 245. They didn't top 800 yards combined.
So, what are you guys' views on
Johnny
Mark
was
Andrews?
injured most of the year.
What's your? Oh no, excuse. No, I'm just kidding. Mark
was.
Andrews. What do we view?
He was-
Let's say
he was
Lamar
our
leaves,
third.
What happens?
He was
Is
our
still
third.
a top? Is he still a top 3 tight end
Oh, I think he's better.
with Hendon
No.
Hooker? Yeah, he is.
Oh,
no,
with Hooker.
I think Mark Andrews is better because he becomes a check down guy.
So do
Rather
you
than
think
the
that he
first
just?
guy.
I think last few years, well, because
Well,
if you look
just
at Mark
last year.
Andrews, if you look Mark Andrews like 2 years ago, Mark Andrews was like the number 2 tight end in the NFL,
So-
and that was when Lamar was at his running best. Now, when you look at Lamar as he's tried to become a
29
passer, and a
2019
passer,
was
and a
his
passer,
2019 was his running best.
was that not 2 years ago? It was 2020, whatever. Anyways,
Well, so you think that Mark Andrews just had
COVID
an off year
fucked
last
us
year
all up.
because of the Lamar
I literally
issue?
said nothing about Mark Andrews having an off year.
He was talking about the way that he played.
Can you
with
let me
Lamar.
finish my statement?
Sure.
Okay. So Lamar, the more they focused on Lamar passing, the less Mark Andrews got the ball because they stretched the ball downfield.
Yes.
When Lamar focused on running, the check down was Mark Andrews. The guy who was mostly open and came back to Lamar was Mark Andrews. So Mark Andrews is a safety valve for anybody that throws there. They don't have receivers with separation.
So you think that's what they're going to do with Kittle in San Fran, is do what they used, you do what they
I
did
think if
years
they were
ago.
smart, they would go back to letting Kittle bounce off the edge and be a safety valve.
I can see that.
I mean, granted, Kittle is very good at blocking, but like they need to utilize Kittle in the pass game, and when they utilize Kittle in the pass game, like in the playoff game, that's when their quarterback started to produce.
He's just another guy, he gets injured here and there, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep these twitch fibers, man. Twitch fibers get injured really easily, so when you do a lot of sprints, and these guys are so big, they have an issue of pulling hamstrings and shit like that.
Soft tissue injuries are a bitch in the NFL.
But I think that, I mean, do you have anything else for top 5 produced? Like, I don't think there's anything. Okay, we can go over kickers just to piss off Ryan.
Yeah, let's do kickers. My number one is not.
Well, I think here's what I would do. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I wanted to do this with Ryan. But, I don't know if Ryan's ever going to show up again.
Justin Tucker, the butt fucker, is number 1.
Oh, Jesus.
No. So let's what would you give up for the first overall pick?
In fantasy.
To draft Bijan?
Well, draft whoever you want. What would you give up for the first overall pick this year in 2023's NFL draft if you are on a rookie dynasty draft?
So the downside would be is what your team needs would truly be. Because if you need wide receiver, you're going to take
I
a
would
wide receiver
assume,
over
so like
Bijan.
this is the thing with rookie dynasty drafts, right? Like you usually take the least available position first. So like if there's how many running backs are going to come out and produce, if you think that there's only going to be 2, that means if you have 3 round dynasty draft, you're probably going to take a running back first overall because that's the only thing that's going to produce.
But it would depend on what your team already has. Because if you drafted Damian Pierce and Kenneth Walker,
depth is better. I have Tyler Algier, Kenneth Walker, and Jonathan Taylor.
I mean,
I would still take Bijan.
You saw what I got for the, and I was the 9th.
I wouldn't trade up to go get Bijan because I don't need him.
But that's what I'm saying.
But if I was at 1, I would still take Bijan.
But that's what I'm saying is because you said what do you think it would take to go to number 1? You already have 3 stout running backs that are young.
I say stout. I have 2 stout, 1 that can produce.
So, but you have 1 that could easily go into your flex.
All right.
So you don't need Bijan at 1. You don't need to trade up to 1.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trade up to 1.
But that's why I said it would depend as to what your team's needs are to go up to 1, or 1-2 in your case for the best wide receiver available. Depending on where the team is.
This is why value for that pick. Like last year, right? We didn't have any trade for the first overall. But I can tell you what was offered.
Right.
Because the first overall pick was Bijan Robinson last year, and me and Ryan.
It was Walker. Or no, you said Bijan was last year. It's not. Who?
Brees Hall.
Yeah.
The first overall pick was Brees Hall last year, and me and Ryan were out of the top 2 picks, and we did everything we could to get up to 1.
Right.
I traded Dalton Schultz for the second overall pick.
Right. Sorry.
Just straight up.
I traded Cortland Sutton for an early second.
So it would ultimately depend as to who has those picks, what they need compared to what you have to see if the
that's what I'm saying. So what are you willing to give up? So like the question is, right?
So obviously you would have to give up your first round pick.
I think I would have to give up my first round pick this year if I had it,
and
which I do have it.
A second. And then
remind you, the guy in the chat has the first overall pick.
Right.
He's already said he's tagging.
Assuming that he's still there. So,
but he said the pick is available. So and
I was like,
so he's saying that because he wants me to trade.
Well, no,
because he knows I'm a run back needy team.
He was talking to Bo, and Bo actually asked the question, "What do you want for the first overall pick?" Now, mind you, Bo and Steve do not have a running back, but they have picks galore.
They have Montgomery, like I said, could sneak in. However, I also am needy at running back. And I made it to the championship, and I think I have the 6th or 7th overall pick. if I were
Brandon Whedon.
If I were to trade up, because with the man listening, him and I, we're one of the 4 or 5 active trade people in our league. I would have to trade my first. I would have to trade probably my second. So 1727. And one of my 3/3. And I would have to trade a running back, knowing that he would be taking Bijan.
No, the thirds are overrated, and this is Ryan's thing. Like, what are you getting in the third?
I'm just adding value to another person.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to trade another first.
So
it's probably gonna be 2 firsts and a starting player.
Just trade Justin Jefferson. You'll get a boatload like I did. I got freaking.
I tried to get Justin Jefferson, and she literally offered 3 firsts. Leonard Fournette and somebody else.
You saw what I got for Justin Jefferson.
I would say, for me, if I were to trade up,
I offered the world. I would have had Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf. I offered the world.
Well, so I could give Ryan's 2025 first back because I don't have a 2024.
2 years
first.
away though, so that hurts.
So,
Ryan's looking to get back in sometime.
I don't have a 2024 first, and I need to get that back. But my 2023 first, my 2023 second.
No one's giving up a 2024 first. Just an FYI.
Well, no.
Good luck.
I'm just right.
Next year's draft value is so high, nobody's giving that up.
A 2024.
There's too many good quarterbacks and wide receivers coming out of next year's draft.
So it'd be a first and 2 seconds, and then maybe a player.
First 2 seconds and a starting player, I can see that happening.
So,
if you have depth at wide receiver, or trade him back Amari Cooper.
Or it would be a first, 1 second,
and
a starting player.
Ryan has 5 running backs.
Or a young player, so I could trade him back Deontay.
But Johnson. To be honest, what I do is I look at Ryan, and we'll leave this. Well, this will be one of the closing statements. What I do to Ryan is I just offer him someone, or I don't. I ask Ryan who he's looking at to draft, and then I walk away because I know they're getting injured next year.
Like Lamar?
No, so Ryan has he has J.K. Dobbins.
Well, yeah. His whole bench is pretty much running.
This year was wide receiver injuries because he had Jamar Chase.
he had all of San Fran's backfield at one point, and then majority.
He had Elijah Mitchell and the dude that went over to
he had
Miami.
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff
Wilson, and then the other guy is Mostert also. He's in Miami.
Yeah, he also had at one point the entire Ravens backfield that was injured.
That doesn't surprise me.
I'm laughing like he just targets injury-prone running backs, and then this past year he literally, I think almost every wide receiver on his team was injured. Now, mind you, this year
was a bad.
This is why I hate Ryan, because mind you, he still makes playoffs. This is the first year that he became last place team.
He had
last year with all I think he had 9 injured running backs at one point in time. He literally was dropping running backs to go pick up waiver wire like Sony Michel to literally play anybody. And he still was, I think, the 4th place team.
Right.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, because he pays really good attention to depth at these positions and matchups, and that's where Ryan excels. My wife is cooking upstairs, so that says a lot.
So before, we never asked Wheels what he would do to trade up for one.
Yeah, what would you to get Bijan this year? What would you do to trade up?
Hold on. Are you a run back RB needy team?
So everybody's a running back needy team. Though.
Well, so then hold on.
33% of running backs get injured every year.
Well, so hon,
okay, if I have the 2nd and 9th overall, and the 2nd and the 7th and the 2nd.
I was gonna say,
so you have picks.
Yeah, I'd give up my 2nd and I'd give up 102, 202, and a 3rd to get back.
You wouldn't give up 102 and 109 and just ask for their 2nd.
Well, so then here's the follow-up. Well, so then.
Their 2nd would be a 10, they would be 2-1, wouldn't they? So yeah, I would do that. I would do 1, 2.
If it's a snake, it's a snake.
It's a snake.
So let's say you didn't have 1, 2. You know Bijan's going at 1, 1, and you have 2, 9 instead of 1, 2. What would you do to trade up to get the 2nd pick?
Well, I'd probably give 1, 2, 209.
No. I'm saying you don't have 1, 2.
Oh, I don't have 1, 2. I have 109.
What would you trade?
So you have 109, 202, 209, and you're trying to trade up to 1, 2.
109, 202, 209.
I'd probably give up.
I would just give you up 109 and 109 and 202.
202, and probably Rashard Penny.
Okay.
You definitely need to get rid of Rashard Penny. Is that you? Are you trying to trade up to 2?
No, I'm just saying because we know that
Who's the second overall pick then? Do you guys think?
in our draft.
It's gonna be CJ, right? I'm taking CJ
No,
at 1 or 2.
quarterbacks will get taken in the second round. You're gonna go probably Jameer. It'll probably be Jameer or Jay.
Well, it would depend because
Jackson.
Kenny Pickett was the only
I'm
quarterback.
really quarterback heavy in mind, so I might go quarterback.
Because this is a rookie draft.
Yes.
We're talking not a dynasty draft. We're talking a rookie dynasty draft.
It would depend because last year Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback drafted in our rookie draft.
Yeah, and it was third round.
Yes, and we all laughed at.
And I wanted to punch it. No, I lied. Desmond Ridder was also drafted.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
That was Daibo. 2.
So
I think he did draft 2 quarterbacks.
1, 2.
I'm taking probably. I would have to take CJ just because my quarter. No.
Well, you know, how about we do that next
anymore.
show? How about that? Rookie draft next show.
Yeah.
What we'll do is
Wednesday.
we'll rank our top 12 guys in the rookie draft.
Okay.
It would ultimately depend
and where we think they go.
Yeah, it would ultimately depend as
We'll
to
do that Wednesday.
where the wide receivers go as to
Teams matter.
yes.
Teams do matter because if Jackson Smith and Jigba goes to a team
Green
like
Bay.
Seattle, well, let's say he goes to Seattle.
Oh, bad.
He's the third person on the team.
Right. I would
Like
I would
DK and Lockett, like
he would not be a first round
But
pick.
if he
at
goes
that
to
point.
Green Bay, he's a first round pick in my opinion.
I still think he's a
Yes.
first round pick. I just don't think he's the first receiver.
No. Exactly.
So you'd be drafting for long term then at that point.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'd still probably.
Well,
take
my
him at 1 or
assumption
2.
is that Tyler Lockett won't be there next year.
If they were to take
I think Jackson would be the number 2. I think it would be out Lockett.
or Seattle would
That's
trade
ridiculous.
to get back into the first to take Jackson and Lockett be part of that trade.
Well, I mean, we'll.
But yes, but we'll talk about it.
I could see
We'll talk about
Atlanta.
that. Johnny, give me your takeaways for today's show.
Everyone have a blessed Sunday, and we will see you all Wednesday.
All right, Wheels takeaways.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys appreciated it. I hope you enjoyed it. Next Saturday would be what D-backs, I think.
Oh yeah, next
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah, we're not going to
because
do a
Easter
show on
Sunday.
Sunday because Easter Sunday, so we're going to do a Saturday show.
Right. So perfect.
All right, and for me, I'm just going to say, I will say Steve's part. Good luck and God bless.
Subscribe.
Thank you for
and
being here.
subscribe.
Please subscribe, share, do what you got to do. I don't have the Gimli beard, but
Gimli beard.
I am here, happy, and hope you guys, this was what you guys wanted. Because
Please.
I know a lot of people want to hear about the fantasy aspects of it. I don't have the fantasy guys here that are really in depth with this stuff, and they look in the analytics side of things.
But please let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, please talk in the chat, and please comment on the videos if you guys are watching it post.
Same
live.
thing with Ryan and Steven. If you guys aren't here, still talk about what you guys want us to talk about so that we can still communicate on air with you guys.
All right, guys, and I thank you guys for all that are here and being here with us, and I will hopefully see you the next show on Wednesday, as always, at 5:30. Peace out, guys.
Later.
Bye.